welcome back to Donington Park for day 2 of the British Racing and Sports Car Club Caterham Race Weekend. Donington Park Grand Prix circuit here in Derby, and it's much brighter but still blustery conditions here on this August morning. We've just had our first track action on the Grand Prix circuit, being the qualifying session for today's addition to proceedings for this weekend, which is the Teekay Couplings Production GTI Championship for Mark 5 and Mark 2 Volkswagen Golf GTI. We've just finished their 15-minute qualifying session. They will have 2 races later on this afternoon. But we are getting close now to the first of our races, because that is the only qualifying we have today. Everything else is racing straight through to the end of the day. And it's going to be, if anything like yesterday, a fantastic morning and afternoon's worth of racing. Scott Woodwiss in the commentary box is going to do all the action alongside me once again, as he was today, my very capable co-commentator. Once again, usually frequents the karting circuits of Europe, but back in the circuit commentary box for the first time in 2 years, I'm delighted to say once again good morning, Mr. Alex Goldschmidt.
Morning, Scott. Morning, everybody. Great to see such wonderful sunshine beaming down on us on the Grand Prix loop here at Donington Park. And yesterday was just the appetizer for the main course and the dessert that we're going to have all the way through the day, with the likes of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 SuperCup and SuperSeries, which will be our first race 9 of the meeting. As Scott mentioned earlier, the Teekay Couplings Production GTI. There is a little bit of Volkswagen that's part of my heart. I think it must be one of the aortic valves or something like that. We've also got the Motul Caterham 7 270R Championship, the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship, with the second and third races for both groups.
So 4 races in total.
4 races in total. We then also have the second race of the Avon Tyres Caterham Road Sport Championship. Then after the lunch break, where Scott will also try to do the Avon Tyres Caterham 420R Championship grid walk, which
might be quite quick, because apparently it's not very long. It's not a very long grid walk, so I might only have a couple of minutes to have a chat to a couple of people. But I shall try our best to get down there, at least to have a word with a couple of drivers down there.
And then we also have, along with that, the Santander Caterham 310R Championship as well, a whole host. So effectively we have around 12-13 races all the way through the day, and I'm so looking forward to this, Scott.
Absolutely, and we are going to kick things off immediately with the cars lining up already for this weekend's first race of 3 for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 SuperCup and SuperSeries. All drivers running identical Mazda MX-5 Mark 3. They are all the 2-litre sport version. They either are what they call Mark 3 or what they call Mark 3.5, which 3.5 is a slightly facelifted, more aggressive-looking front bumper and front headlights. Now what they're going to do is they're going to actually run the SuperCup cars, because they run and score points in the championship, and the SuperSeries simply run as a series, so there's no points scored there. They are putting the SuperCup cars at the front of the grid. There was a rose gap, and the SuperSeries cars line up next. There is going to be a delayed start for the SuperSeries, which means we're going to get 2 races in one. I guess it makes it a little bit easier for us to keep track of both races whilst they're going on. And also it means, I think, they've also done it to make sure that, yes, there may be 1 or 2 drivers that could be as quick as some of the SuperCup drivers in the middle of their pack, but I think the main thing we want to try and do is minimise any impact they might have on the championship proceedings throughout the rest of the weekend. The cars, last couple of cars lining up on the grid at the back to get themselves in position. In terms of where they qualify, which we have their qualifying session as the last session of the day yesterday, they line up as follows for this first race of 3. So, championship contenders are on the front row together. That's not going to have any fireworks, is it, of course? Jack Harding on pole position in car number 43, alongside him, double defending champion and championship leader coming into the weekend, Luke Herbert. He leads the way by 12 points from Jack Harding. Row 2 is number 116, Simon Baldwin, and number 8, which is Aidan Hills. He's third in the championship, but still with a chance of taking the title, because he's only 36 points off the top from Luke Herbert. So 116 and 8 on the second row of the grid. Row 3 sees number 62, Will Stevenson, with one of his best qualifying results of the season. Alongside him making his SuperCup debut, though he has been a frequent in the SuperSeries, 199 Joe Marshall, so watch out for him from the third row of the grid. Row 4 sees former Clio 182 racer Patrick Fletcher continuing his excellent first season career drive, starting 7th on the grid. He starts alongside number 91, Jack Sycamore, rounding out the top 10, and looks like he's going to be starting the pit lane. Looks to be, he's going to be Nick Rutter. So no one started, so there'll be a smart space missing from place 9 on the grid, I think. Nick Rutter's making his way down. Also, we've got, I think, Chris Dawkins' car is at the pit lane, which is also going to be let out, but no, they're not going to let Nick Rutter out. So both Nick and Chris are both going to start, I think, from the pit lane. So Nick Rutter will start, so we know we're on position 9 on the grid, so David Henderson, number 36, will start on his own. Row 6 is going to be number 96, Christopher Richardson. And the 169, Lewis Kent. Now, Lewis Kent, of course, is a regular in the TCI UK Championship at the win of his Essex and Kent Motorsport Hyundai i30N TCR. But this weekend he decided to swap a front-wheel drive Hyundai touring car for a rear-wheel drive Mazda MX-5 to go up against his brother Bradley, who starts directly behind him in 13th place on the grid in car 44. Then we have, in addition to the programme, which is number 54, Paul Myers, a former OSS Championship racer when he raced the Yamaha Global GT Lights car. He starts 14th. And then we've got Chris Dawkins in car number 22, also starting with the pit lane. And Gary Townsend at the back of the SuperCup field because he was disqualified from qualifying yesterday for cutting track limits one too many times. Then we get a Rose Gap, and then we go back to our Super Series drivers, which are headed up on Super Series pole by number 16, Matt Pickford. That's his second pole of the season for Super Series after he took his first at Snetterton a couple of meetings ago. Simon Fleet will start alongside him in car 21. So 16 and 21 on the front row of the Super Series grid. Row 2 for the Super Series is number 37, Simon Hutchins, and it's good to see him back in the field. And number 15, Clive Powles. Row 3 in the Super Series is number 11, Declan Lee, and number 7, Alex Miller. Row 4 is making her second appearance in a row in Super Series after she debuted at Alton Park against Christina Holly, but she also has a couple of rounds of Mark 1 experience. Alongside her will be number 1 and 2, David O'Reilly. And there's Adam Rowlandson, who's also making his debut this weekend in, I think, a Go For It Racing prepared Mark 3, number 84. He's on the 5th row of the Super Series grid, with Jim Hart next to him, and Liz Walton at the back of the grid. I think there was supposed to be somebody else that started there as well. There was I'm trying to forget, there might be Paul Myers maybe somewhere. I want to be a bit further back. So, quick run down the points very quickly. Luke Herbert 1,196. This is all on current drop scores at the moment, including drop scores. Jack Harding with 1,184 points. Aidan Hill's third and 1,160. Steve Roberts, who's a former multiple-time Compact Cup champion, who's not here this weekend, is currently fourth. He's got quite a nice gap on Patrick Fletcher, who may well have to overhaul him by the end of the weekend, who's fifth. Will Stacey is sixth, but he's not here either, which means that this should give that advantage to Gary Townsend, who currently sits in seventh in the points on 1,046, and he's also the top Masters driver. Masters driver being 48, those ages 45 and over. There's David Henderson, 8th in points, Nick Ross in 9th, and Christopher Richardson in 10th. In terms of the Super Series, because there's no points, we just count how many drivers have won races. So Brian Chandler has still got the most amount of wins with 5 this season. Joe Marshall, who's not in Super Series this weekend, a Super Cup driver, has 4 wins.
And I've just seen, looks like Bradley Kent has just come into the pit lane, if I'm very much mistaken.
Which means that he will start from the pit lane in case he's got a problem. James Keller's got 3 victories to his name, but he's not here this weekend. Bradley Kent's got 2 Super Series wins, but again, he's in Super Cup and in the pit lane. And we also had Jeremy Crook, Darren Kell, Nick Dunn, and former Rallycross champion Nathan Heathcote, who took a victory at the very first meeting at Brands Hatch. So the cars making their way onto the grid now, because we've got 1 or 2 holes in the grid based on 1 or 2 cars that have stopped. Looks like Paul Myers' car, I think he switched to the Super Series because he's actually gone ahead and changed over. So the last couple of cars at the back of the grid. So we now, as I said, to get the first race underway. The MX-5 Super Cup and Super Series, race 1 of 3 today as we get set for the race. The red lights are up. Who's going to win the whole shot down from turn 1? Lights out, away we go. Decent start for the first couple of races, pretty equal launch. Also a good start from Will Stevenson in 5th position on the grid. Down towards Redgate Corner for the first time. The championship contenders are side by side into Redgate Corner. Harding has the inside line, bit of a lock up from Will Stevenson as they turn through. Aidan Hill struggling throughout the inside of 2nd place. On a rate, there's 1 car to have a spin and gone around at Simon Baldwin. The Super Series car get underway several seconds later. It's a good start from Matt Pickford from the front row of the grid from pole. It's now almost 3 abreast. We've seen it looks to be, that is possibly Simon Hutchins possibly going side by side with Clive Powles and Simon Fleet, but it's going to be Pickford who leads the way into Redgate Corner. It's still 3 abreast, and I think there's almost been a little bit of contact, but I think coming up on top of that, possibly with Simon Hutchins. So the first couple of corners, Alex, everyone appears to have got through pretty safely, apart from Simon Baldwin, and it looks like all 3 cars in the pit lane have also got away safely too.
They have indeed, so they'll probably have exited the Craners on their way down towards the old hairpin. Well, actually, no, as I say that, they're already heading up to Coppice, the leaders at the moment. Looks to be a 3-way scrap for the lead thus far, as they'll start making their way slightly down. Well, you know, it's getting nearly into a sort of like a diagonal synchronised formation between the top 3, heading towards the S's. And it's definitely side by side between 2nd and 3rd, heading into the Faculty S's for the very first time, as the leaders will start to make their way through. And up ahead is number 43, so Harding still leading at the moment.
But there's a change on the 3rd group because Joe Marshall with the far side is on the outside of Aidan Hills already, so that's Sycamore also made a cracking start up to 5th place already. into the hairpin they go for the first time. Patrick Fletcher is sick. He's being under pressure from both Will Stevenson and Gary Townsend. David Henderson tries to put himself into the mix there as well. And also we've got just behind them Christopher Richardson battling away with Lewis Kent. And from the Super Series cars are heading down towards the hairpin. With Pickford leading from Howes in second place, looks like Hutchings is in third. Side by side with fourth now, it's a bit of a chain with a lock-up from somebody on the inside of Simon Fleet. Jim Hart's with a great start. Look at that, he's up to about fourth place already. So a cracking start for Jim Hart from where he was about 9th or 10th off the grid. So Hutchings third, fourth place with Declan Lee, fifth for Jim Hart, and Simon Fleet, Alex, has been shuffled down to about 6th or 7th place before the end of the first lap.
It's quite surprising, but between Harding and Herbert for the lead of the race, it's just over 4/10 of a second as they go on to lap number 2. Hills in third, Marshall in fourth. He's up from 6th already, so it's a great start from the number 199. Sycamore's up into 5th place from 8th on the grid. Fletcher's in 6th, Stevenson, Townsend, Henderson, Richardson ran out the top 10, all separated by just over 8.1 seconds, but we've had someone go very wide. That's through the exit of the old hairpin, isn't it?
It's Gary Townsend, 223 running wide. Meanwhile, side by side with the lead at the top of McLean's, as Jack Harding was a little wide on the exit, as it looks like Harding held the inside line. Herbert tried to go around the outside, but there was no gap to get through. So as they turn their way through, also having a quick look to spot what's going on with the Super Series car. Pickford is checking out at the front, followed by Powell in second and Hutchings in third. I think Simon Fleet's got himself back up to 4th place now after being far down in 7th position. As they come back down the back straight towards the Fogs DS for the second time. And it is side by side for the lead. And I think Jack Harding's got the inside line to hold on to position P1 as they turn up through the left and through the right, but it is still nose to tail. And Herbert now tries to squeeze me out the inside line, looks one way then the other, but Harding throws the block to the inside line. Hills is still third, and Joe Marsh in his first SuperCup start, because he has been a winner at Super Series, but he then scored SuperCup points for the first time this weekend. He's right there with the leaders now on the exit of the Melbourne Loop. Herbert tries to put himself alongside, but he'll be on the outside for the run towards Goddard's for the second time. Into the braking zone they go. Hill isn't too far away. Patrick Fletcher is in 5th at the moment from Jack Sycamore. Will Stevenson's got a slightly dislodged bumper back in 7th place. He's battling with Gary Townsend and David Henderson. The leaders in the SuperCup head down towards turn 1. So I'll keep an eye on that whilst also keep an eye out on the Super Series car with Pickford in the lead. No change in the top 4 so far. As now once again Herbert goes to the outside line to force Harding to go defensive. Will look for the undercut on the exit of Redgate Corner, but again Harding places his car in the right place at the right time and maintains the lead as they head on to lap 3 of this first race of the weekend.
The gap between Harding and Herbert last time round was actually nigh on halved, just over 0.2 of a second. Pickford in the meantime now has a 2.4 second lead in the Super Series, so he's started to gain momentum, just sort of like from where I can sort of see on my tiptoes as the leaders are coming through Coppice. Pickford has just been casually extending that gap and just pushing forward, and he's done a 1:55.650, and that's nigh on 0.8 quicker than Poles in second position in the Super Series side of things. Hutchins, Fleet, Lee and Holly, they round out the top 6, and they're separated by around about 5 to 6 seconds nose to tail.
It looks as though whatever happened in the first lap at turn 1 appears to have put Simon Baldwin out of the race, sadly, so he's one that we've lost. And Bradley Kent also appears to be in the pit lane. He looks like he didn't even make the start, sadly, so that's not great. He's going back out, sorry, my apologies. He's going back out again, so more issues for Bradley. The leaders in the SuperCup will head their way down to chicane for the 3rd time, and it's now Constantine up now for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. What it's also doing is bringing Patrick Fletcher and Jack Sycamore into the mix, so it could be 6 for the podium places and for the lead into the Melbourne Loop for the 3rd time they go. Probably a little deep as Hills tries the absurd move, trying to go around the outside of Melbourne Loop, which can work if you've got enough grip and confidence, which is not quite there at this point in time. Now we've got Joe Marsh under attack from Patrick Fletcher into the hairpin for the 3rd time. And Marsh has to go defensive as Fletcher tries to get the undercut on the exit of Goddard. And Jack Sycamore's having a good run too. He's been a regular up there with the top 4 or 5 drivers. Possible change on the lot. Look at that. The 3rd place with Simon Fleet up the inside of Simon Hutchings for 3rd position in the Super Series. And the car's quite further back up to Lewis Kent. Lewis Kent's dropped right back into a mechanical problem because he's already been caught now by Matt Pickford.
And also looks like Fletcher's gone up the inside of Marshall for 4th position going into Redgate. Not too sure if he might have made the move stick by the Craders.
I think he might have. Yes, he has, because I can see that Fletcher's car with the slightly darker, hasn't got all the decals on it, is in 4th position now. So that's a good spot on that one. Alex. He has managed to make a position. The old hairpin over leaders. With the Super Series, we can keep an eye on that and CCTV cameras. It is Pickford who leads the way from Powell's in 2nd place. Lewis Kent sadly is also in the pit lane, so it's not a good first race of the day for the Kent brothers because both Bradley and Lewis have hit problems. In into McLean's now for the fourth time. The top two are trying to pull a small gap now to the 4 cars behind, because Aidan Hills looks relatively comfortable in 3rd place. Joe Marshall 4th now. Patrick Fletcher 5th, who also has the fastest lap of the race, 1:53.357. And then Jack Sycamore rounds out the top 6. Behind him in the top 10, we've got Henderson in 7th place, Will Stevenson in 8th, Christopher Richardson in one of his better performances so far in the Super Cup in 9th place so far, and Gary Townsend rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, just keeping an eye from my... I need binoculars.
I think there's been a change, and almost, because there's been a big shuffle at the chicane, and out of all of it, they've all come together, and both Harding and Herbert have lost first and 2nd place. It's now Hills up into the lead, Fletcher going for the lead down the outside line for 2nd place. Harding fights back in 3rd, but out of the hairpin, Luke Herbert will be 6th. He's also been passed by Joe Marshall and also Jack Sycamore. That's a disaster for the championship leader. He's back to 6th position. Jack Harding's back to 2nd place, getting past Patrick Fletcher. It looks like there was a big sort out on the exit of Coppice Corner, and on the run down to the chicane. It's going to be 3 abreast by Luke Herbert, trying to dive up the inside of Jack Sycamore and possibly Joe Marshall. That's bold for the championship leader, but he elbows his way past. It's going to be 3 abreast on the exit. It's going to be Herbert on the outside down towards Redgate Corner. Fletcher slots in front of Joe Marshall. Joe Marshall on the run down towards Redgate Corner. On the outside of Joe Marshall is Luke Herbert. Jack Sycamore wants to make it 3 abreast. Darby inside the pair of the 4th place in the Redgate Corner. That's a bold move, but he's made it stick. And Luke Herbert has to turn down to the apex to not make contact with Joe Marshall. It's all changed at the front of the field in the Super Cup in the top 6. Looks like it's now still going to be Hills who leads the way. Harding in 2nd place. It's now Patrick Fletcher in 3rd place. 4th place for Jack Sycamore. 5th for Joe Marshall. And incredibly, the championship leader, Luke Herbert, is back down to 6th position. You
know what? I've been watching the times again between Pickford and Poles in the lead of the SuperSeries class. Poles just at 1 minute 54.5. Pickford 1 minute 55.6. Gaps now down to 1.5 seconds. So it looks like Poles has got the bullseye definitely aimed at squarely in his crosshairs. And I tell you what, I'm really impressed with all this racing between both categories, because these MX-5s clearly punch above their weight.
They really do. There's been a change to 5th as Luke Herbert's finally managed to get back around Joe Marshall to pick up another place. Down onto the back straight, out of Coppice they go. Top 3 are all together. It's still Hills from Harding from Fletcher. That's still the top 3. Now Aidan Hills, I need to double check. I think he's won at least one race this season, or if not, this could be his first win of the year, but he's had 1 or 2 ups and downs in the top 3, but he's always been towards the front of the field, as Jack Harding now is on the back of number 8, but also Patrick Fletcher, again, continues to keep on improving after he's been regularly a front-wheel drive race in the KO 182 Championship, switched to the Super Cup for the first time this year, and really has taken to it with a plong. He really has developed really nicely this season. Now we've got on the exit of the Melbourne Loop, challenge from the lead now, Jack Harding on the outside line, Earl trying to squeeze into the outside line to try and force the issue, and saying, if you want to come past me, Jack, you have to go around the long way, and Jack might leave the door open past Patrick Fletcher if he's not careful. Exit of Goddard's, Harding one's wide on the exit on the racing line, Fletcher tries to pull alongside him on the sprint now down towards Redgate Corner. Sycamore still 4th, but he might come under pressure very shortly from Luke Herbert, who's now back in position 5. Joe Marshall in 6th position, and you think you're right about the SuperSeries guys, Alex, because Matt Pickford is there, but only he's 5 pounds chasing after. He's also bringing Simon Fleet with him. In fact, more than that, he's letting him through into 2nd place. Simon Fleet goes up the inside into Goddard's hairpin, and the blue and pink number 21 is up into P2. His next target now will be to go ahead and try and chase after Matt Pickford, but not in Clive Powers, who's retaliating on the exit of Goddard's corner, Alex. And anything to say about that?
Hutchins and Lee are also battling for position. That's for 4th and 5th as they head down to Redgate. But oh my goodness, side by side down the crane. Yeah. And they're catching back markers. This is going to get very hairy very quickly indeed as they go through McLean's.
And this is for the lead. It's the lead in the Super Cup, and they are coming up behind Paul Myers. It's still side by side for the lead, I think. I'm going to try and find them on the camera to see exactly what the situation is. I think it's side by side between Hills and Harding. Into Coppice they go.
Myers has got out of the way, which is very sensible driving there, because he knew that everyone was catching him at a rate of knots. And it's 3 abreast. It is 3 abreast heading down. One's actually gone grass tracking there off of the exit of Coppice there, I think.
Well, that was Harding, Sycamore and Patrick Fletcher that were going side by side. Joe Marshall lost a little bit of momentum in the process. So Hills now continues to lead. Harding in 2nd place. Crucially, Herbert's back up to 3rd. It's side by side for 4th. There was Fletcher's on the inside of Sycamore down towards the Melbourne Loop. And Joe Marshall's back in the mix as well. He closes back up on the break. He diving up the inside with a last gasp move on the inside of Sycamore to the Prix with not 1 but 2 places. And Jack Sycamore's back down to 6th position. Fletcher slots in front of Marshall to get 4th. But the 3 main contenders of the championship, they're in reverse order in the race at the moment, but of course it's it's Herbert who leads the way, Harding in second place in the points, and it's Hills in third. But in the race so far, it's Hills leading, Harding second, Herbert third. Super Series car back the way down. There's a big change in pit up the inside of Simon Hutchins and Declan leads up the inside of everyone into Melbourne Loop. He makes contact with Simon Fleet. That was very ambitious, but a bit over ambitious there for Declan, I'm afraid to say. Declan continues to lead. It's now Hutchins up to second place with the advantage of 5 pals. Nick Russell's gone back out of the race, but he's a SuperCup driver, so that won't affect the Super Series results. And as a result of that big dive, Declan leads back down to 6th position because he's forward.
Contact between the 15 and also the 99 just off the exit of the entrance of the pit lane. So that is Powles and Russell coming together. Powles looked to get a bit eager on the throttle there, and it kicked the tail end sideways.
And that, unfortunately, I think Nick Russell may begin some parting that when I looked at that. Declan Leeds also coming to the pit lane after his massive lock-up, so...
Left front, yeah, looks like the left front suspension, and the wheel is actually tracking to the left as Powles makes his way into the pit lane. That's a real shame, because that was such a great battle between the Super Series quintet at the front of the field.
Meanwhile, SuperCup at the front, it's now 3 for the lead between the 3 main championship contenders because Hills has got Harding crawling all over him on the run down towards the Fogarty S's. Herbert's in the mix as well there. It's possibly side by side for 4th and 5th between between Marshall Burks and Fletcher, and with 2 black cars into the left and right. Also back in the pit lane now is Lewis Kent, and looks as though that the damage to Clive Powell's left front suspension means he's almost blocking the pit lane, so Lewis Kent can't actually get into the pit lane. We'll look at that in a second as the 3 just go back. And down the outside of the second place goes Luke Herbert's trying to get the undercut and to get past Harding. Harding again shows him the edge of the road and says, not on your life, sunshine. Try and get around with a long way. As now Aidan Hills continues to lead the way. And he was saying yesterday that his car was feeling mega. He said the setup was great on Friday. He said that the car was feeling really good in testing the day before yesterday. And it looks as though he wasn't kidding because the car's in good form. Now, Clive Powell's car, because of that suspension damage, is still blocking the entrance to the pit lane. Jack Sycamore gets a good run off the good old hairpin to go up to 5th position at the expense of Joe Marshall Burks. He's now got a chance to possibly close in now on Patrick Fletcher and 4th. But the top 3 are nose to tail, almost you can throw a blanket over them, they're that close, out of Red Gate Corner and down towards the Crane curves. And the Super Series drivers make their way towards the hairpin with still Matt Pickford in control, followed by Simon Hutchins and Simon Fleet.
Yes, Pickford's got a gap of over 3.7 seconds as we've got about just over 6 minutes of this race remaining. We've had everything in this race. We've had people coming into the pits with problems. We've had people coming together. We've had people going up the inside. Someone trying to do the school descent and not having it work out in their favour by a massive lock-up. But it's provided such great entertainment thus far, as it is. That's a battle and a half for the lead of this race.
That was Herbert trying to go down the outside of Harding, had to slot back in before they got down the exit of McLean. Bit of a duel going on now between the 19. That's Liz Walton battling away with Alex Lee. She's having a cracking race actually. She's been looking up in the spot. He's ahead of both Alan Robinson and the 112 of David O'Reilly. So good run so far for Liz Walton. She's currently sat in 6th place in the Super Series. One of her better runs so far. It's possibly arguing her best run, I think, against this many cars. She's steadily been getting better and better and improving. It's her 2nd season in the Super Series, and she's making fantastic progress. Now then, what's interesting here then, into the chicane, Luke Herbert's dropped back, so I think possibly a failed move into the chicane and seen him not only lose time but also possibly positions, because he's going to come under threat from Patrick Fletcher and Jack Sycamore and Joe Marshall back into the hairpin now for what is now on end of lap 8. And now it's Hills versus Harding. I think possibly either Herbert tried to make a move past both of them, or at least one of them, got squeezed out and actually lost time. And he's dropped back into clutch to Patrick Fletcher, so we say Sycamore for 5th, with Joe Marshall in 6th. Good battle for 7th, developing also between David Henderson, number 36, and the yellow and green car of Will Henderson in the 7th. And a big spin. Oops, Christopher Richardson on the exit of Melbourne Loop. Quickly selects first gear and away he goes, so the yellow flag will be quickly withdrawn. And I'm sure slightly bemused, Matt Pickford, who continues on. But he's been caught now by both Simon Hutchins and Simon Fleet, so that gap he had before a couple of seconds, that's evaporating pretty quickly with 4.5 minutes to go.
That very much is the case, because last time around Hutchins had actually truncated the gap to around 2.5 seconds by putting in a blinding 1 minute 54.7. Fleet did a 1 minute 54.1, so Pickford is under clear threat for the lead of the Super Series in this first race here today on Sunday, Scott. It's really, really interesting how the pendulum swings in both lead battles at the moment.
You're not wrong. They're leading now for the SuperCup. Jack Harding trying his best to try and just outfoxing Hills. There might be a little bit of rubbing on the run now towards Coppice Corner, which is looking very close for the lead now as they come up towards the right-hander, right at the top of the circuit. They'll turn in through the apex. Near the apex, Harding got two on the grass on the inside of the Coppice Corner. Literally, that's how hard he's trying to get himself back through. Now, what's interesting is Declan Lee's trying to get into the pit lane, but again, Clive Powers' car is still blocking entries. There's only just about enough room to squeeze a Mark III MX-5 through that gap, and definitely has come back in for the second time, sadly, after that massive lock up into the hairpin, and that caused him to have a bit of contact with Simon Fleet, but Fleet's continued on. Now, I think Jack Harding's trying to get past Aidan Hills, and that's failed because Luke Herbert is right on his tail. That's the last thing Harding needs. Luke Herbert, his champion rivals, wraps that right behind him. I need to take every point he can from Luke Herbert in these last few races of the season. Because these rounds of Donington on the Grand Prix circuit, then they go to Silverton in a few weeks' time, and they end the season in October back here at Donington on the national circuit. This is the third to last meeting of the season, and Fletcher's not letting Herbert get away either. So Patrick Fletcher possibly could be on course for a podium if he plays his cards right and possibly gets a good off the exit of the hairpin of Goddard, which he has done. And he's lining up the number one now, possibly removing the third place up towards the hairpin, up to the Redgate corner. Looks to the outside to possibly force Herbert to go defensive. They go side by side into Redgate for third place. And Herbert really squeezed him out there onto the racing line before he had to turn into the right-hander. Joe Marshall, meanwhile, has got past Jack Sycamore for 5th position. The rest of the field goes streaming through.
SuperSeries in the meantime, Scott, the three in front are literally line astern as they come out of Goddard. So I'll tell you what, that gap, I don't think it's even less than half a second, as Fleet is actually trying to capitalise on some momentum run going into Redgate on Hutchings in the 37, who's second in that class at the moment.
If I'm correct, this is only Simon Hutchings' second ever appearance, I think, in the Super Series, if I'm correct. So he can pick up a win in his second appearance. That would be phenomenal.
Battle for the lead, though, and also third and fourth. So you've got Hills versus Harding, Herbert versus Fletcher, and they're all going up. They've gone through McLean's, up the top of the hill, down to Coppice. And Harding's still trying to find his way past Hills at the minute as they come blasting their way down to the Foggy S's. So this is really getting interesting because if they keep on battling the way they are, this is going to allow Herbert and Fletcher, if they stop battling between themselves, to catch up with the two in front.
Whilst we're looking at that, just quickly note that a few laps ago, the current fastest lap of the race is held by Jack Sycamore, so 1:53.265 over the Grand Prix circuit. We're coming at the start of the last lap of the race, but we've only got 1 minute 20 on the clock left to go. So Jack Harding wants to make this move for the victory. He has to do it now, but he won't be like the size of Luke Herbert's number one car looming large in his mirrors. So once again, the three championship contenders in reverse order to how they are in the championship, because Hills is third in points, Harding is second, and Herbert leads the way in the standings. But it's the reverse order, of course, with Hills and Malise possibly looking up the inside. There's a bit of a dive into the first part of Goddard's there for Jack Harding, but they've all closed up again. So they'll get the last lap board. It is now or never around the Grand Prix circuit. We'll do 2 more races, of course, later on. It's not going to matter too much to Jack Harding or Aidan Hills or Luke Herbert as they head down towards Redgate now for the final time. Just a quick on the outer corner ride with the Super Series leaders, Alex.
Yeah, but still, you can't. Oh, well, hang on. Fleet's going to try and get the run, and that was very interesting because Hutchins was very wise to it. In the meantime, Marshall's got past Sycamore for 5th in SuperCup. I saw that. I think it probably came out of the Fogarty S's, but let's see. No, Fleet hasn't got the run on Hutchins. He might have it now going down the start-finish straights, heading down towards Redgate, but Pickford is still hanging on, but I think by a fraction of the rear bumper. But the leaders... it looks like Harding has now got Herbert right on his back bumper, going through McLean's. Further blast uphill towards Coppice.
And as they head down towards the top of the circuit with about half a lap still to go, it's still Hills from Harding and Herbert, but that could all still change. It's a good run from Harding off the exit of the right-hander at Coppice, now down the long back straight. Herbert's in the tow with the 43 of the car behind Patrick Fletcher. He's just dropped back a little bit, but looks as though he's safe in 4th position, but I'm sure he'll capitalise if anything happens in the final few corners. Herbert thought about for a second possibly making a dive into the Fogarty S's, but thought better of it, thought maybe he'd bank the points, or maybe not. It's a good run off the exit of the corner. He's going to go side by side with his championship rival. Harding's got 2 more chances to get the lead. It's almost going to be 3 abreast. Harding looks to the outside of Herbert looks to the outside of Harding to try and get the position. They head through the Melbourne Loop for the last time. There's only 1 more corner to go here, and Herbert tries to squeeze his way up the outside line to get the outside run towards Goddard's corner. They're side by side with the championship leaders up towards Goddard's for the last time. Hills has got the championship, has got the lead up in 2nd place. It looks like Harding will just about hold on unless Herbert can get the undercut off the pit strip for the final time towards the checkered flag. Herbert tries to post over alongside with a better exit on the run to the flag. Aidan Hills wins the race. Jack Harding just holds on ahead of Luke Herbert for 2nd place. Patrick Fletcher gets 4th.
Meanwhile, Super Series, there has been a change for second place as Fleet has got past Hutchings, who might have made a mistake going through the Fogarty S's. But I tell you what, Scott, what a drive from Pickford. He has held on. He had a gap of 3.7 seconds as they're heading down towards Goddard for the final time.
And that means that as they come out into the hairpin for the final time here at Goddard's, we're about to get our 9th different winner in the Super Series. But he's out the final corner. It's been a long time coming, but Matt Pickford is finally a winner in the Mazda MX-5 Super Series. He's made fantastic progress over the last 2 years, and it's finally all come good. A Leicester flag win in the Super Series with Simon Fleet with another personal best equaling 2nd place. And Simon Hutchins will be delighted with his first ever podium in the Super Series. A great result. Again, you guys, if you're around the circuit, particularly careful where you are, give these guys please do a round of applause. It was a wave and a cheer, because a fantastic way to start off today's second part of the Caterham race weekend here at Donington Park with the British Racing and Sports Club. A brilliant result. 2 brilliant races in one, and 2 brilliant results, with Aidan Hills crucially taking a very vital victory in his task for the championship. More importantly, Jack Harding finishes ahead of Luke Herbert, means he gets to take some more points from him in the championship lead. And Herbert, of course, will have to try and do it again. Although the second race will see the grid decided, but the second fastest times were yesterday afternoon's qualifying session, so that's one to watch out for. So quickly confirming the top 5 in each result then. Aidan Hills wins that first race of the weekend with the MX-5 SuperCup, with Jack Harding in 2nd, Luke Herbert 3rd, Patrick Fletcher 4th, and Jack Sycamore running out the top 5. And then in the Super Series, it will be a first ever win for Matt Pickford in car number 16, Simon Fleet in 2nd place, Simon Hutchings in 3rd. Then Christina Holly gets 4th place. A good run for her, as a personal best for her, and only her 2nd weekend in the Super Series. And looks like for 5th place, it will go to Alex Miller in car number 7 in the Super Series. Right, I'm going to run down because I'm sure they'll be stopping the top 3, I'm guessing for both, down the pit lane, so I'll have a chat. I'm sure we'll have a very happy Aidan Hills and even more delighted Matt Pickford.
Definitely, Scott, I couldn't agree more. But so we've got 2 more races from the MX-5 Super Cup and Super Series. The second one, we race 16, but obviously as the British Racing Sports Car Club love to be early rather than be on time, we are ahead of schedule at the moment. This particular race is actually due to finish roundabout now, so we could be ahead as Scott makes his way down to the pit lane. But great wins for both Hills and Pickford, and I'm sure that Mr. Pickford he punched the air as he came across the start-finish line, and they are going to have to move the number 15 of Powell's, who had that unfortunate incident where he came out of the final corner. The rear just broke suddenly, and then an unwilling victim was the number 99 of Rutter. So it's going to be very interesting how they fare in their their 2 races, which will be race 16 and race 21. Race 21 being the last of the meeting here at the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. So it looks like we will have the top 3 down in, they're being sort of looked at right now. And looks like there's going to be some celebrations and jovial high fives and some celebratory man hugs down there. So we'll wait to hear from Scott very, very shortly. But what a way to kick off the action here on the Sunday of the BRSCC Caterham race weekend here at Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. The sunshine is starting to go away a little bit, but the track is still very much dry, and I'm looking forward to seeing both these categories race a little bit later on today. Yep, so Clive Pulser's car will need to have a got, because their second race will be is estimated to be at 2:45 this afternoon for the start. But let's hand down to Scott in the pit lane.
So what we'll do is we'll do first of all the podium, I think, for the Super Cup. So we'll do it in reverse order from result of race number 1. So in 3rd place, car number 1, Luke Herbert. Well done, Luke. Another valuable 3rd place towards his championship charge. Turn to Luke. 2nd place goes number 43, Jack Harding. Again, that's vital points he's taken away from Luke in the championship. And I think he's first win of the season. Second win of the season. 4th win, sorry. Okay, anyway. Victory for Aidan Hills. Well done, Aidan. So well done to the top 3. I'll take a quick photo for social media. And then we'll have a quick chat, I think, with our top three very quickly. A couple more pictures, have a quick chat. Aidan, quickly, you told me yesterday the car was rapid, and I think that certainly proves it. Great win.
Yeah, I messed up qualifying a little bit. Got the chance to get in the lead in that race, took it, and once I got in the lead, I wasn't letting anyone pass, I haven't won a race for 2 rounds, so just had to make the most of the opportunities you get in this championship. So, yeah, once I got in the lead, it was just a case of I couldn't go too fast. Got a little bit of a problem with the brakes, so couldn't brake as late as I wanted to. So hopefully we get that changed for race 2. But, yeah, car was good other than that, and I felt it's good to get back on the top step of the podium anyway.
You know how quick these two are anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I've raced them for 3 years now, so we know each other quite well. So I had to just do what I had to do and take the win, yeah.
Great job, mate. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
Good stuff. Let's have a quick chat. Where's Jack got to in second place? Where's he got to? Jack got to Jack, second place. I think crucially it's second place, but it's a couple of points taken off of him, isn't it?
Yeah, it was... Hello? Yeah. I think we easily had the pace to win. I think we was easily the fastest, but obviously we were in the lead, everyone's getting slipstream. Luke managed to sort of just edge past me coming up to the chicane, and then just massively outbraked himself, and then basically calls to a mobile chicane for me where I couldn't get through, and then everybody went through and just went back. So then, yeah, we just tried to fight my way up through. I got past Aidan for the lead down the hill, but then ran wide, so he got me back on the inside. But then, yeah, the rest of the race was just pretty boring, really. Just sat behind Aidan, but yeah, hopefully we'll try and convert that pole into a win for race 2 anyway.
Best of luck, well done.
Thank you.
We'll quickly with Luke as well. Luke, another consistent podium, and similarly, but these guys are catching up a bit, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, that was a great race, wasn't it? I loved every minute of it. It's not always about the wins, it's about the time we have on the track, and even dropping back to 7th, it was great fun to try and come back through. I was a little bit annoyed when I was back in 7th, but it's like 2 races out there. It's a race between me and Jack and then a race with everyone else, so even though me and Jack come 2nd and 3rd, it could have been 5th and 6th. We're just trying to beat each other at the minute because we are the main contenders for the championship, and then Aidan can crawl it back if he keeps driving like that. But yeah, mega race, had great fun out there, and got a few supporters here this weekend, so it's nice to show off in front of a crowd.
See you in race 2.
Thanks very much.
Well done. Let's have a quick word with our Super Series drivers. First of all, I'll have a chat with our new race winner, Matt Pitford. I just said to you, Matt, you've been in this car now for a season and a half. I think it's fair to say this has been a long time coming.
It has, yeah. The car's been getting quicker and quicker this year. Thanks to BRSCC Motorsport, he's really sorted it out for this year. We've had 2 poles this year. We had a pole at Snetterton. We didn't manage to convert that into a win. We came P2, but we were good yesterday. We had some pace in quali, and we've had pace in the race. So I'm really pleased with how it's gone, and the first win in the Mark III, which is really pleased.
You've got to do it again now.
Well, I've got 2 more races, but these guys were getting close towards the end as my tyres went off. So I don't think it's going to be as easy in the next 2.
Enjoy it. Well done. Good stuff. Simon, 2nd place. Equals your best result, but just. You need to get a bit more ahead of this guy, don't you?
Yeah, down on engine power a bit, so the straights are causing a problem. And I got run wide at the Melbourne Loop on the 2nd lap because someone locked up. And then I got T-boned in the Melbourne Loop on the 5th lap because somebody else locked up. But yeah, definitely caught him up towards the end. And if I can get the straight line pace, I'll be on him definitely.
See you in race 2. Yeah. Simon Hutchings, first of a podium, well done.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, it's first ever time racing with the Mazda SuperSeries, so yeah, really enjoyed that. Didn't really know what to expect coming in, but big thanks to Paul Sheard, Motorsport. He's set up the car really well for me, and yeah, looking forward to the next couple of races now.
You know these cars a little bit because you raced them in the Welsh Saloon Sports Car Championship, right, so you're familiar with them MX-5 anyway.
That's right, yeah, but we're usually racing against all sorts of Clios and Golfs, etc., so I didn't really know how I'd fare in a sort of single mark series, so yeah, really happy.
Got a taste for it now, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. See you in race 2. So well done to all our SuperCup and Super Series drivers, and back to Alex. I think we're going to get our first catering race of the weekend underway very shortly. So Alex, over to you.
Thank you very much, Scott. Well, it is slightly delayed at the moment because they're still trying to get Clive Powell's MX-5 onto the low loader. So the fire truck and also the course car are there. So we are just waiting. Everyone is settled on the grid. So there were a couple of amendments. It was amended as of just before 5 to 5 last night that we had a disqualification We also had a 5-place grid penalty issued as well. So according to this, that James Gilmore actually got a disqualification through avoidable contact, and also Daniel Halstead has got a 5-place grid penalty also for avoidable contact. So I'll do a run through of the grid. So on pole position, it's the number 3 of James Murphy, and then alongside with the number 5 of Gregory Monks, with Tom Allen in 3rd in the 17, Matt Shepherd in the 80 alongside on row 2, Daniel French and Justin Heat, that's 77 and 6 on row 3, Ollie Pratt and Chris Moore will start on row 4 in 74 and 11, Toby Close and Lewis Thompson, 12 and 79, will round out the top 10 ahead of the 68 of Simon Goodwin and the 86 of James Luisnen and Andy Morgan and Daniel Halstead will round out row 7 in 23 and 36. Graham McDonald and Johnny Jarrett round out row 8 in the numbers 19 and 21. James McCall in the 88 will have Paul Fielder alongside on row 9 in the 28, with Jimmy Bevan in the 9 and Alistair Melton in the 95 starting on row 10. And we've got Mark Smith in the 72, Alistair Curry in the 29, Richard Clegg in the 76, Jim Earlham in the 56, Scott Parker in the 63, Mark Treadwin in the 44, Neil Fraser in the 25, with John Isherwood in the 8, Neil Evans in the 64, and James Gilmore in the number 10. And it's looking to be a very interesting one, because obviously we had that great battle between Murphy, Monks and Allen, with the top 3 separated by just under 6/10 of a second at the flag. So for those wanting to know about a little bit more information on the championship in your programmes, it's pages 10 and 11. And yesterday, I definitely know that we did have a lap record broken, one of 3 that were actually broken yesterday. So just wondering, Scott, if the same is going to happen today as well.
Well, Daniel Halstead now is the new lap record holder, because what's interesting is that he was holding a lap record up to, he was, I'm trying to remember who the results yesterday, because there was a lap record yesterday which was held by Dan House, so that was from the Academy, and he still needs to look back at the results to double check exactly what happened with any lap records there. But I know, in fact, he did pick up, at the very least, if not keep his existing lap record in the Academy, he picked up another lap record, which is the 270Rs. So he's now lowered that lap record, which originally coming into the weekend was held by Dan Quintero, which he set 2 years ago here at the Caterham Festival, which was in July 2017, and that was then lap record was a 148.547. That's now been lowered to a 148.015, courtesy of Dan House. If you start this race from the 7th row of the grid, so he'll start from, looks to be 14th on the grid for this race.
We've also got James Gilmore not actually taking up his position on the back row of the grid alongside Neil Evans, so we'll have 29 cars starting this race 10 of the meeting.
So Neil Evans will be at the back of the grid then, starting there. James Gilmore, yeah, he's not on the grid, he's been disqualified, so he's disqualified from the race result, but he's not actually lining up for this race, so it's a shame to see. It looks like, let's say, rather than being 30 cars, they've got 29, so that's pretty interesting to watch. Of course, yesterday's race, we saw a cracking battle going on mainly between James Murphy, Greg Monks and Tom Allen. And it was James Murphy, who is known by some as Superman, given the way he even charged with the field once or twice. The reason why he has that nickname is because back at Thruxton last year, we had a cracking race from James, who had some problems in qualifying and started towards the back of the grid. But then I think in the first race, he charged his way through from what was just about the back of the grid in the Road Sport Championship last year to second. And as a result, to celebrate that, and I saw him do this down in Park Ferme, he got on top of the roll cage, laid across it, and actually sort of outstretched his arms like he was Superman. That's the reason why I call him Superman now, because not only that, because he did that, because of course he was able to fly his way through the field that quickly. So he's a very capable driver, and of course it's his main reason why he became Road Sport champion last year, but only just because he became Road Sport champion by the fact that he had to rely on a drop score to do it, because on the last lap of the race he got caught up in a dramatic last lap incident with literally 2 corners to go on the exit of Stoke Corner on the Silverstone International Circuit, and then Daniel French did everything he needed to. He took the race victory, but he also actually needed the fastest lap of the race. The car behind him in second place stole the fastest lap of the race from him, and because of that, and also because James Murphy was able to gain points back as a result of the drop score, he actually was able to hold on to the championship lead and win. I think it was only by 1 point. So effectively, even though he finished back in about 15th place, he could drop that score because, of course, it was his worst point, one of his worst results of the season, if not his absolute worst. And he could gain some points back from another result, which gained him back some more points, which is vital. So James Murphy then, he came into the weekend 6th, 7th in points. Certainly picked up some points on the likes of Neil Fraser, who finished back in 27th place after some problems. After he had a bit of a spin and some issues. He picked up some points on Justin Heap, who finished 6th. Dan Housley, who also finished down in 9th. Also as well, he picked up points on Matt Shepherd, who finished in 4th place, with Monks, who finished 2nd. So he's picked up quite a few points on a few drivers, which I think he'll definitely at least put himself up into 6th position at the very least. But his points were 197 compared to Neil Fraser's 216, so he definitely outscored him there. In terms of everyone else, they seem to have got some more points towards their tally. Just a reminder of what the point situation was coming into the weekend. It was Dan French on 263 points ahead of Justin Heap on 260. Then it's Daniel Housley on 242, Matt Shepherd on 227, Greg Monks on 221, Neil Fraser on 216, James Murphy on 197, then Chris Moore on 169, Toby Clues on 164, and Oliver Pratt on 162. So very close competition here in the 270-yard championship this season. Dan French is the most winningest driver at the moment with 3 victories, and of course Tom Allen has scored 2 pole positions so far this year as well. In terms of fastest laps, Dan Housted of course has a fastest lap now to his name, but of course the most laps coming to the weekend was set by Neil Fraser, Matt Shepherd, James Murphy, both with 2 each. So if James Murphy can pick up the fastest lap in this race, he will certainly get the biggest tally for the most fastest laps as the cars make their way back onto the grid.
Yeah, so now the anticipation builds over what's going to be, I think, another good fight between, I think, Murphy, Monks, Allen. You know, let's see what Daniel Housted does. You know, as we said, he starts from 14th on the grid, so I would expect him very quickly to try and get his way into the top 10 and maybe move forward from there.
So the last few cars coming into position at the back of the grid. So just a quick ID check. James Murphy on pole is the black and orange DPR Motorsport car. Alongside him is the predominantly black with red graphics car, number 5 Gregory Monks. The red and black car, Tom Allen, is in 3rd on the grid. The all-yellow car with the black wings, that is Matt Shepherd. Dan French and Justin Heap championship rivals are back on the 3rd row of the grid. The 5-second board is about to go up, and we're all set for the second race of the weekend for the Motel Caterham 270-yard championship. Murphy on pole. It is Monks alongside him on the front row of the grid. Who's going to win the whole shot towards turn 1? Lights out and away we go. Decent start equally from the first 2 rows. French stumbled a bit from row 3 to head down towards Redgate Corner for the first time, and it is wheel to wheel down towards turn 1. The leaders to come up into the right hand. A bit of a lock up with the Tom Allen behind in 3rd place. Tries to go up the inside of Gregory Monks, which he just about tries to do. Now on the exit on the run down towards the Crater Curves for the first time, James Murphy should hold on to the lead as they swing down the hill. It's a massive pack of 29 Caterhams, all snaking their way down the hill towards the bottom at the old hairpin. It looks like I think Murphy has just about held on, but at the moment it's to come out of the old hairpin up towards the Starkey Tink. Alex, is Murphy in leads, but both Monks and also the Tom Allen in the 17 car are both right on his tail to try and possibly grab the lead by the end of the lap.
And the 2 battling over the lead, well, there is definitely more 2x2 action going through McLean's, up the hill, up the blast to the top of the main crest up at Coppice.
Oh, one car's gone wide on the exit of the mid-pack, by the way.
And there's also kicked up a lot of dirt as well, so maybe if that's brought in the gravel onto the track. The 2 leaders line astern as they head down to the property S's. Oh, it's nigh on side by side there by my reckoning. So it's going to be interesting who's going to get the run coming out of the foggy S's and heading down to Melbourne Loop. And just trying to get out now. And it is number 5 of Monks that's got past Murphy.
Not for long he hasn't, because back up the inside of the run towards the Melbourne Loop for the first time goes James Murphy, yesterday's race winner. Bit of a dive also at the brakes for Matt Shepherd, as around the outside of him looks to be trying to go Chris Moore. You can't get that job done. Also, Dan French is moving up well from his position on the grid, up to 5th place behind Justin Heap. Chris Moore powers past Matt Shepherd on the run now into the hairpin at Goddard's for the first time. So, despite losing it briefly on his opening lap, James Murphy will lead the way at the end of lap number 1. Ahead of Greg Monks in 2nd place. Tom Allen is now 3rd. Justin Heap and Daniel French, the Duty Championship contenders, are 4th and 5th. Heap ahead of French. And it's Chris Moore now under threat from Matt Shepherd, who pulls the number 80 car alongside him. For the 2nd place, though, Tom Allen dives up inside into Redgate Corner and gets the position for P2. So Monks will try and get him back on the exit on the sprint down through towards the Crater Curves. Well, this battle we've seen in races before throughout the week will only just benefit the leader, who isn't getting away that much, because now Tom Allen's got through. He's already making designs and decided to pressure James Murphy, who will lead into the old hairpin for the 2nd time. And also trying to close in now are both Dan French and Justin Heap. And I think possibly there's been a change of 4th and 5th, because it looks as though, I think to me, Alex, that Daniel French has indeed, got ahead of Justin Heap now into 4th position.
Now he's going to get some sights on looking at the top 3, who are battling. Now I'm just trying to see has Tom Allen actually gone up into second position through McLean's and up into the run-up to Coppice? As it is Scott. I'm going to say this very, very nicely. There's at least 9, maybe even the top 10, being that close to being in contention for the lead in this early stage.
It's not unlike in catering races. We've seen obviously bigger packs, or 270Rs because of that massive 29 car pack back at that was the beginning of the race. I don't think we can top that, especially not today, because we've got 29 cars in the field, but they're not all together. Exton, yes, it is now Tom Allen who leads the way. Monk's in second place, Murphy's third, challenging for second once again. Dan French pulling things up to fourth place, and Matt Shepherd's at it again, up the inside this time with Justin Heap. That's been challenging one of the champion contenders, and up into fifth place he goes. He hasn't won a race so far this season. He won one of the races at the start of the season at Silverstone, so he's trying to make his way up to the field. Here comes Dan French working as well on the outside of Greg Monk's trying to make the dive into the Goldhouse hairpin. We know how quick he is and how much he can overtake around the outside if he's got the grip and confidence, which I think he has, squeezing his way around the outside line, but Monk squeezes him out onto the curb, and now look at that, it's that man Matt Shepherd yet again pouncing on the end of the opportunist. Up into fourth place now, and here comes Justin Heat diving up the inside to take advantage of the slow momentum that Dan French had up in towards where the corner they go again. Justin Heat is back through. Chris Moore, his fellow Academy champion from last year, might follow him through on the exit of the corner, sprinting now towards the crane of curves. It is still Allen now leads the way, Murphy second, Monk's third, Shepherd fourth, but it's all changing behind them because it looks like Justin Heap, and I think also as well, no, Chris Moore didn't get through because Dan French is still up in there in sixth position, but he's now behind his main championship rival Justin Heap.
And House has now made up 2 places already and has already posted the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 48.711. So he has got designs on the top 10 initially, but we've still got a heck of a lot of this race to go, just over 25.5 minutes, as it looks to be that this side by side for around about 6th positions. That could be between Heap and Moore for track placement as they go through in the run towards Coppice. It's down the slight descent towards the Poverty S's, and it is Linus. I thought I'd seen that in karting, and I've never seen that until I've come here this weekend.
It's not Linus Stern now. They're side by side again. I think there's been at least one change in that top 3 order that's come down towards the Foxy S's. Someone's locked up in the back of the top 10, but it looks like they've got away with it. So now James Murphy gets the front once again. It's now second between Allen and Monk. Matt Shepherd's now slowly crawling his way towards the front of the field. He's going to make another dive. He's thinking about it. He got Justin Heat from way back as well, trying to give Shepherd a taste of his own medicine. Doesn't work, and so Shepherd slots back into 4th place, still chasing down Greg Monks around the outside. Justin Heat looks to be Chris Moore. Justin Heat missed the shift. I think he's lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. And Chris Moore was like, "Well, where are you going to go?" And he tried to go around the outside of him, but found cars storming past both of them, so he couldn't move anywhere. So not only Justin Heat lost out, his fellow Academy champion from 2018, Chris Moore, also has done. And now we've got the 79 in the mix. That's the 79 of Lewis Thompson up at 8th place now. So across the line they came this time by to end lap 3. Murphy leads the way from Allen in 2nd place. Monks is now 3rd. Shepherd 4th. Then French in P5. Up to 6th place has come the 74 of Ollie Pratt. So he's made some good moves. Alex has Toby Clues up to 7th place. Thompson's 8th. Chris Moore is 9th. And Justin Heat, just like that, Alex, he's down to P10.
It's just so interesting how quickly it can change in the blink of an eye. You miss a shift or you don't get the power down out of the corner, you basically are at the mercy of everyone else. And it was just like, it just went, yeah, you're going to be the filling in the middle of the sandwich as we all shoot past you, mate.
Top 6 have paired off now into 3 groups of 2 as they come up into McLean's. It's now Murphy and Allen for the lead. It's now Monks and Shepherd for 3rd and French and Pratt for 5th position. So they come out of McLean's and up towards the top of the circuit at the early apex of Coppice. You take an early apex, let the car run out wide all the way through this arcing exit onto the back straight. And it's crucial that you carry as much momentum as you can to get the run down the back straight, because that is a prime chance to get yourself in front of somebody, or at least alongside somebody, to get into the braking zone for the very tricky Fogarty S's. It's not as tight as it has been in previous years. They've got to reprofile it. It is a faster chicane, but of course there is a big rector-cell barrier on the inside of the first part of the S's. Doesn't stop people from getting cutting track limits though in many cases, as they come up towards the helm of the loop, and here they go again. James Murphy back to the inside of Tom Allen, and Matt Shepherd's going for 3rd. He's going for 2nd at it again up the inside. He must have either had something for breakfast, or he must have fixed some extra strong brakes in that car, because either way, he's such a fan of diving up the inside of everybody at every single chance. And there's a shift or a problem for Tom Allen.
He's slowing. That's a very slow number 17 there.
And he looks though that literally he just lost power on the exit of the corner, and he's slipping back down the order outside of the top 10. So now Matt Shepherd thinks, do I go for the lead? Why not? As they come down the pit straight. So now Murphy's in the lead, but then looks back behind him and goes, hold a minute, who the hell are you? Where have you come from? So Matt Shepherd, he's now right on his tail down towards Redgate Corner. Third and fourth is now still between Monks and French. Pratt is now fifth, Clues in sixth position. Moore is seventh, Thompson eighth, Heath ninth. Daniel Housted, who was yesterday's lap record breaker, is back down in P10 and not making too much progress, although he has got the fastest lap of the race this race, 1:48.711. That's about 7/10 off his best lap.
Oh, gear lever's broken. Thank you very much. Gear lever's broken off of Tom Allen's car. That's not very nice, and obviously that's going to be very jagged on the edge of that gear shift.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I think Daniel French might have some sympathy because he didn't sort of lose his gear stick because he was trying to change gear whilst his hand was in pain after he broke his finger at Snetterton before the event. He still picked up a second and win that weekend. How he did that, I've no idea. Now heading up towards McLeanstown and Coppice for lap 5. And so whether they can fix that or not, it looks like Tom Allen's car possibly might be out for the rest of the race unless they can find some way to fix that. I'm not sure they're having any luck because there's not too much going on down there with the team. So down towards the S they come once again on lap 5, and it is now. I think it's now Matt Shepherd leading the way. I think as they come up to the chicane, it is. So Matt Shepherd's gone from where he started. Where did he start on the grid? He was up in
fourth place,
fourth on the grid. He dropped back as far as about 6th or 7th. Picked his way back through the order, and Jake Murphy says, "I don't think so. Try this for size." He gives Matt Shepherd a taste of his own medicine, diving up the inside to hit the move at the Melbourne Loop. Third place now for Greg Monks, fourth for French, fifth for Ollie Pratt now. There's a breakaway gap in the top 5. Toby Clues up to 6th place now. Chris Moore 7th, 8th place for Lewis Thompson, 9th for Justin Heath, and Daniel House is up on his tail as well. So there's now 2 groups of 5 developing now for the lead and within the top 10. Top 5 are together, and the second group battling for 6th down to 10th. It's now Toby Clues with Lewis Thompson to the inside in the 79. They're going wheel to wheel over 7th and 8th position. Also likewise for 9th, Justin Heath defending to the outside line. In fact, no, he's not defending for Daniel Houston. He's going for 8th place on the inside of Thompson. He might bring Houston with him, which he does. So Lewis Thompson loses not 1 but 2 places on the exit of Redgate Corner. So they come down towards the Craner Curves and up towards the old hairpin at the bottom of the hill on lap 6. And still the top 5 with Murphy back in the lead, heading through the old hairpin. So the top 5 all together: Murphy, Shepherd, Monks, French and Pratt. They're all together as they run out through Starkeys. And the second group, of course, now headed by, looks to be, I think it's Chris Moore now, ahead of Thompson, Clues, Heap and Housted, who still holds the fastest lap of the race. As everyone else, though, looking at their last lap times, they're all lapping in the 1:49 because they're all so closely packed together, fighting amongst each other. Dan Housted's found some clear air somewhere and pumped in a 1:48. Not exactly his lap record pace from yesterday, but he is still pushing on.
Yeah, he seems to be one of the faster cars out there. I mean, Thompson at the moment in 7th position is on 1:49.375, and that looks to be the quickest out of the top 15. Of course, can't not give a shout out to Graham McDonald, Caterham CEO. He's actually made up a place. He was up to 14th. He started 15th on the grid, so the Saltire is trying to do his very best going up the inside of people on the Melbourne Loop. But meanwhile, the top 5, but it's nearly 3 abreast in the 5 behind. Going into the Melbourne Loop, that was an absolutely great run of momentum.
It's almost 4-1. Just keep trying to go around the outside of everybody. The one that there's a main plan factor there with Lewis Thompson, getting up the inside of both Daniel Houston and Justin Heath. Houston's really slow on the exit corner. Justin Heath gets the momentum on the outside of the 12. They both try to go to the outside of Houston into the hairpin. Big lock up from behind for Justin Heath. He tries to squeeze up the inside of Toby Clues. Houston benefits from the pair of them. And now it's side by side between Toby Clues and the green number 12 and the grey car with the red and black stripe on number 6, Justin Heath. Leads it's still Murphy versus Shepherd. Then it's Monks in 3rd place, French 4th, and Ollie Pratt in 5th position. Lewis Thompson's trying to break away. Chris Moore's trying to break away in 6th position. There's a black and white flag going up for Chris Moore. That's for track limits. So if he strays over the white lines one more time, he will get a 5-second penalty for that. And we have seen drivers over the weekend getting 5, 10, even post-race 30-second penalties for track limits. So they've got to be careful out there because the BRSCC officials are seemingly doing everything literally to the letter, by the letter of the law. So as much as they possibly can. So it's simply a case of them have to be very, very careful not to just run over the white lines too many times. As James Murphy looks for the double this weekend. It was his first win of the season yesterday. He wants to kind of do the double this weekend if he can. And even though he might be a bit far off the lead in the championship, he wants to try and push himself as high as he can now, to try and put himself in a good position for the final 2 rounds at Silverstone and then Brands Hatch.
Definitely the case. It looks like the number 23 of Andy Morgan actually lost out 3 places on that last lap as well.
I think there's been a change for the lead and possibly for 3rd place. I think now Matt Shepherd's back into the lead ahead of James Murphy down the back straight. Indeed he has. So the 80 car's back into the lead of the race. There's a fight on for 3rd going between Dan French, Greg Monks and Ollie Pratt. So French has got past Monks briefly. Monks is to his outside. But last year's vice champion of the race thought he's not going to give it up easy. He's the championship leader coming into the weekend as well, but only by 3 points from Justin Heath. That may have changed after yesterday's results. Now the hill towards Goddard. 6th place now is Chris Moore, who's trying to bridge that gap between the two packs in the top 5. Also, we've got a possible change. It's Garrett Donald's looking up possibly the inside of the 86, and that is James de Lusignan. And I think, has he got through? No, he hasn't, because not only has he not got through, he's also let Neil Fraser get past as well. He's going to try and fight back on the inside line, and Neil Fraser's got his right front wing flapping around in the wind as he comes up towards Redgate. So not only is he going to possibly not get 14th place, he might lose 15th if Fraser slots in front, which he does. That's a very bold move to slice right in front of the Caterham CEO. So holds on to now 15th place, while 16th of McDonald holds on.
So Murphy has a lead of around nigh on half a second over Shepherd in the battle for the lead, and then it's a further 1.1 seconds back to French, who has been having a great battle with Monks and Pratt over the course of the last few laps. The leader's going up the hill towards McLean's. It's very close now, Scott, if I'm completely honest. It's about a car length between the pair of them as they go up the run towards Coppice. Meanwhile, behind French is being closed on by Monks as they go towards the top of the crest.
It's not quite a car length, it's less than that. They come out through Coppice and onto the back straight. And this is crucial because, again, this back straight is a prime chance to try and slipstream past. It's a bit like the Bentley straight at Snetterton, when there's long straights. The Shepherd has indeed pulled out from behind James Murphy, and I think he has slotted back into the lead by the time they get to the braking zone. So the yellow car does appear to be back in front of what I can see on the screen. Yes, he is. So next to the S's, it is now once again Shepherd ahead of Murphy. And it's now French in 3rd, Monk still 4th, Ollie Pratt still 5th. Chris Moore's doing everything he can to bridge that gap to the top 5 now in 6th position. Changed on for 7th, and Lewis Thompson has Daniel Houston diving up the inside in the 36th into the Melbourne Loop. And James Murphy sticks on the rear end of Matt Shepherd. They come past us now to end another lap. The rest of the top 10 looks to be Houston defending for Thompson, still with Toby Clues missing his left rear wing in 9th place, and Justin Heath, who's second.
We've got one in the weekend. One in the gravel.
And one of the, yeah, one
just off the S's then, Scott.
Yeah, one of the gravel trap. We'll see if anyone's. We've got.
Oh, and we've got some debris just coming off of Goddard that looks to come off the back end of the number 6 on the, or somebody else, not too sure.
Well, one car that's showing to have stopped is. Well, that was quite a few laps ago anyway, but down Melton, so it's not him. We need to see who's going. I think it's James de Lusignan, because he's tumbling down the timing screen. So James de Lusignan looks to be possibly the man that's in the gravel trap, because he's gone down to 17th. Yeah, I think it is, because James de Lusignan's the one in the gravel trap. I think because he's the one that's is tumbling down the timing screen out of the top 20. So James de Lusignan, who, fun fact, it was the 1000th ever Academy driver on correct got that stat. So fun fact for James de Lusignan. But even that fact won't save him from the gravel trap, unfortunately. Not on this occasion.
And I think obviously with the debris at the exit of Goddard's is one of the marshalling team, great marshalling team we have here this weekend. Thank you to everyone in that team for doing such a sterling job. Someone might have carried that wing with them coming around the corner, so if there has been the slightest bit of contact, but it was out of our line of sight, so I can't really make any judgment on that.
Yeah. So what this will mean is there will be waved yellow flags down into the S, which means that will be a no overtaking zone, which means that loses the spot. So if there's going to be any moves made down the back straight, they have to make them and finish them before they get into the braking zone, which is going to be pretty tricky, especially if they're side by side. So into that yellow flag zone they go. I think it is Murphy back in front of Shepherd, which it is. And Greg Monks is back up to 3rd place. 4th is now French. 5th place now Pratt. And Chris Moore has bridged the gap to the top 5. So he's now right on the tail of 5th place man. Back up the inside. That was a thought from Matt Shepherd. 3rd place is being defended by Monks as French tries to go around the outside line, but he might have possibly left himself prone to attack from both Ollie Pratt and Chris Moore. And also trying to chase after this now top 6 is Dan Houston. He's also lost the left rear wing. And he's also been caught down by Toby Clues. So they're coming out of the couple of corners. Another lap.
And Close has actually set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 48.348.
But that's still 3/10 off Houston's new lap record. So he's not quite there yet, but he's got to try and find a bit more clear track to do that. So we've now got on this race. Well, he just got past half distance. We've got 13 and a quarter minutes still to go in this race, so we need time for this result still to change. Up to 5th position now has gone Chris Moore at the expense of Ollie Pratt. There's been a change there, so Chris Moore's getting himself back in the top 5.
Lewis Thompson has just run into the pits there, so he might be having a problem or two. But
and that's a shame, because Lewis Thompson was up there running in the top 10 pretty strongly. So meanwhile, our very brave marshals and volunteers are already trying to heave James de Lusignan's car out of the gravel trap as quickly as possible. There's about 7 or 8, 9 marshals that are trying to push the small little Caterham 270i out of the gravel as best they can. And so hope they get it as quick as possible. They are making some progress, but it is quite a deep gravel trap there at the S's, so they're having to really try and shift it out as quick as they can. But they are making some progress. A good effort by the marshals. Once again, the leaders are going to come back down to that S's corner with the yellow flags in in force, which means, of course, no overtaking. So the leaders are going to come up through Coppice Corner now and onto the back straight. Top two are in a race of their own, it seems, at the moment. And they have managed to get the Lucinger's car out of the way, and that has now been cleared. So I think if the marshals can quickly get back into position, the yellow flag should be cleared pretty quickly. The leaders have gone through anyway. Top six are coming down towards the Melbourne Loop. And it is now Murphy, Shepherd, Monks at the moment in third place. Here comes Chris Moore trying to surprise Daniel French up the inside. French has to give him the room on the exit to the Melbourne Loop. He might try and pull alongside him on the sprint towards Goddard's going to be on the outside line. French chops across and blocks off any move on the outside from Chris Moore, who now tries to set him up for the undercut, and he tries to go around the outside at Goddard's corner. I think French might squeeze him out onto the curb, which he just about does, and that brings Ollie Platt back into play. Now also we've got Houston and Toby Clues battling amongst each other as they come down the pit straight. We've now still 11 and a half minutes to go, side by side for third place. Now we've got Dan French looking for P3 on the inside of Monks, and he gets through, and Chris Moore tried to follow him past but couldn't quite make it stick. So back in the fifth position goes Chris Moore. Sixth place for Ollie Pratt as they come back down the Craner curves to start lap 11.
So top 8 running in the anywhere between the low 149s, and actually the quickest out of them is Toby Close in the number 12. In 8th, just over 3.5 tenths of a second behind Houston in 36. That's the battle on for 7th position. Treadwin, who's currently 18th in the number 44, has just set a personal best of the race so far, 1 minute 50.490, just coming up to around the last third of the race to go, Scott, and it's still very much even Stevens between Murphy and Shepherd for the lead of this race.
Yeah, Mark Treadwin in the purple for Polio car, so in the car number 44, good to see him back out this weekend. The leaders come out now through Coppice for the 11th time, and now head down the back straight, and there's going to be another change now. The yellow flag should be cleared at the chicane because there's no marshals and no Labour-ready cars on the gravel trap, so it should be an overtaking place once again. I think there has been another change for the lead because I think Shepherd looks as though he's got back in front of James Murphy, and he has, so Shepherd takes another turn to lead the race. James Murphy said, I'll have that back, thank you, into the Melbourne Loop, slides up the inside line, and goes through into the Melbourne Loop. And Shepherd might try and get him on the undercut, he might stick around the outside and he's brave enough, but Murphy closes the door and maintains the lead. Bit of a shuffle going on the 5th and 6th. Chris Moore gets back past Ollie Pratt. There's a bit of an attack there from the 74, but he's managed to hold on for the time being. Greg Monks has got back ahead of Dan French, meanwhile, into third place, and he's now on the tail of Matt Shepherd on the exit of the corner. A little wide exiting Goddard's over the curbs. They're a tiny bit spread out now in the top. So no one's close enough really to make any more moves. But watch for 7th and 8th now, because both Toby Clues and Zone has started to close that gap now. So it's now an 8-car training for the lead. We get lap times, another new fast lap of the race. Toby Clues has lowered his fastest lap time to 1:48.301. Again, still 3 tenths off the new fastest lap of the race, or the lap record set by Dan Housley yesterday. But they are running close to it, as it's looking as though some of the cloud cover is starting to cool the track a little bit and make it a little bit quicker.
And just seen Mark Treadwin go side by side with Isherwood heading down into down the start-finish straight, heading down in towards Redgate. So that's the battle over 18th position. And other drivers that have made personal bests throughout the race. Fraser in the 25 and 10th position at 1 minute 49.042. McCall in the 88, who's just behind Fielder in the 28, is just on a 1:49.706. So we are seeing, at least I count, probably 10, 12 drivers on that lap alone that have gone sub 1 minute 50.
So the lead gap that the top two had in the last couple of laps has been completely evaporated by the cars behind them, and now there's a bit of a change going on once again. There's at least a couple of cars going side by side into the complex. Shepherd looks as though he's still leading. Could be a change for second though between Shepherd at B, Murphy and Monks, and there has been. So Greg Monks is up to second place now. Murphy down to third. French is trying to go with them. Murphy goes back up the inside on the way to the Melbourne Loop. Monks tries to close the door as much as he can, but he realises he can't squeeze him out too much. And on the inside line, Murphy's back into second place, and slots him right in front of Monks to make sure he doesn't try and retaliate on the run towards Goddard's. Although that might not work too much because Monks might have a chance to dive up the inside into Goddard's, which he again thought about, but Murphy sweeps across and takes the apex. Now Monks has got to worry about Dan French, who's now also battling now with Chris Moore on the exit of the corner. They're going to be side by side for fourth, and Moore would just be behind the line. There's a black and white flag going up for car 68, and car 68 is
Simon Goodwin.
Simon Goodwin. So Simon Goodwin's had a warning for track limits as well. Top 8 all the way through Redgate corner and up towards the Craner curve. This is on lap 13. Another new fast lap race and a new lap record. So Dan Houser, not content with setting a lap record, he's broken it once again. 1:47.853. Let's take another tenth and a half off his original lap record from yesterday, so impressive stuff from Dan. He's found a bit of clear track, and as we said, this cloud cover is starting to cool the track a little bit further now, which means that things might be getting a little bit quicker out there. So warm tyres on the cold track is usually a good play because it means that you can regulate the temperatures and pressures a bit better, and therefore it's a little bit quicker because the car becomes a little bit stickier on the road. So Dan Halstead certainly also used the benefit of a tow as well for some of the cars in front. He's now got up to, he's still 8th position now behind Toby Clues, but he's using the benefit of a little bit of clear track and a little bit of a tow to lower his lap record even further.
That is an impressive effort from Halstead, and he started down in 14th. He's now halved his way through towards the front of the field, as we've got now 6 minutes and 55 seconds of this race left to go. Pratt in the 74, Ollie Pratt did his best effort at 1 minute 48.473.
Always Dan French. Dan French has got wide on the exit of the chicane. Sorry, Alex, just on the exit of the corner. He's lost 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots, or 5 or 6 anyway. So he's back down to the tail of that leading group. So it looks like he's a little over-ambitious into the S's, gets squeezed out onto the gravel. He managed to quickly track his way out of it. But he's back down to 8th, while Justin, but if there's any comfort, Justin Heap is 9th. So just ahead of him. So it looks as though that in any case he might just gain a couple of points from Justin Heap. It might be one of his worst results of the season as well, so he might even be able to use it possibly, if he stays where he is, as a drop score. So James Murphy's back in front of Matt Shepherd, the top two across the line together. Monk's in 3rd, followed by Moore in 4th position, Pratt in 5th. Toby Clues is now up to 6th position, 7th place now for Daniel Halstead, now the new lap record holder, because he's now sort of reset a new lap record from what he set yesterday. 8th place now for Dan Frenchy after his little quick trip into the gravel trap. 9th place for Justin Heap, 10th for Fraser, and now 11th place for Simon Goodwin, who had that morning. 12th place now for Graham McDonald, making some steady progress now just on the cusp of the top 10 as the leaders make their way now out through the old hairpin once again, with Matt Shepherd still hustling the back end of James Murphy again. They pulled a small gap now. Once again, there was a small gap a few laps ago. They closed back up again, but now the two are almost starting to work together. There's a big skirmish going on for 3rd place, Alex, though, into McLean's between. Looks to be Monks, Moore and Pratt as they run through the right-hander. And
whilst they're battling, Close and Halstead and French are coming back into this. Well, they've dropped French by about, a second after his excursion through the gravel coming out of the foggy S's. But Close and Halstead now definitely into what is, I think, by my reckoning, a 6-way scrap for 3rd position. And it's going to get very, very heated as we get into the last 5 minutes, the last 6th of this 30-minute race, and it has been absolutely brilliant from start up until right now, and I'm sure we're going to have a great finish.
Yeah, French seems to have lost a bit of momentum after he's did a bit of a mistake through the S's, and it seems as though he's lost the toe from the cars in front, so he's used it clear as much as he can.
Monks is down in 5th.
He is, and just ahead of there, there's 2 changes going on position. Murphy's once again sliding up the inside of Matt Shepherd to try and get the lead back again. Also for 3rd, Chris Moore's made his way past Ollie Pratt. They've both got past Greg Monks, you're absolutely right. Also a change on was Dan Clues tries to defend from Dan Halstead. He tries to go out the outside, but Clues doesn't show him the edge of the track. In fact, he goes onto the curb and tries to pull himself alongside. Halstead is on the inside line, so he's got enough room there. He can put himself into a position to pick up 6th place down the straight. We've got just over 4.25 minutes left to go in this race, so they head into Redgate Corner. Murphy still leads. The one car from the gravel trap, that's Ollie Pratt off the road. Ollie Pratt off the road, I think possibly he might have just missed the tyre barrier. I'm not sure if you can find it on the CCTV cameras where he's gone off to. So Ollie Pratt went straight on. I think, no, he hasn't gone to the tyre barrier. He's very deep in the gravel trap though, so Ollie Pratt seems to be that braked himself. There was a little bit of a collision or so. I'm not sure. He has lost a wing. But Ollie Pratt's car off the road sadly, and that was from what was Tyre's 4th place. That's a shame for Ollie, so that will be one of his drop scores, I'm sure, before the end of the season. If he's able to drop that one.
So now, yeah, as expected, yellow flags on the approach to Redgate, so no overtaking. They'll have more of an opportunity through McLean's, through Coppice, through the Fogarty S's, but then as soon as they get through Goddard's, they'll see the yellow flag as soon as they come across the start-finish line.
So the 8-car leading group has now become a 7-car leading train as they come up towards the S's once again with 3.25 minutes to go. Bit of a change going on, I think, for 4th and 5th position in the background. It is now still Shepherd from Murphy who lead the way. Moore in 3rd place, from Monks 4th, change on 5th between Toby Clues and Dan Halstead, and also Dan French is back onto the tail of his train as well after his little trip in the gravel trap next to the S's. French goes down the outside of Halstead to try and reclaim 6th position, but still no move on the 36 there for the 77. Tries to put himself on the inside line, but Halstead shuts the door and he's got bigger things to worry about, which is trying to keep up with Toby Clues, who in turn tried to attack Chris Moore. Monks defends for third place. Round the outside at the exit of Goddard's Head, we'll try and go Chris Moore, but he might open the door up for Toby Clues to slide past into fourth place if he's not careful. So leading 7 as it was, Shepherd from Murphy, from Monks, then it's Moore, and then it's going to be Clues, Hounsett and Fred. No overtaking to Redgate Corner because of the stranded car for Ollie Pratt, so he's maybe deep in the gravel trap, but that doesn't mean the marshals don't need to work on it. So yellow flag's being waved, I think they've been withdrawn now, which means that the car is, they deemed it now in a safe enough position, and in no danger to anyone else because it is that deep in the gravel trap, so unless someone has an equally large excursion, it shouldn't be a problem for anyone else. So the last couple of laps, thankfully, hopefully, will be yellow flag free into Redgate Corner, if I can get my words out right.
But Close and French, in the meantime, have been the fastest out of the top 7 already. But French is clearly the quickest by about 4 100s. 148.062. Toby Clues 148.102. Monks in third is on a 148.147 last time around. So there is genuine pace, and Murphy is actually the slowest out of the top 7 thus far.
Race research, in fact, to become a tongue twister for me, was it seemingly enough. Down towards the S's now. This will be the second to last time because we're 1 minute and 30 left on the clock. So this next time by, they'll start the last lap of the race, and they're still not done battling. Into the S's to go. I think Murphy's back into the lead. Yes, he is. So Murphy comes back through.
Close has got a really good run, and he's going to try and pull past the number 11 of Moore.
And he's trying it. He's got the inside line. Moore breaks a little bit later. Just about. He had to almost have to avoid going to the back of Monks, so I'm trying to dive down his outside, but that might have opened the door up on the exit if you can't get the power on quick enough. And also Toby Clues has got to be careful because standing up the inside line comes down Halstead. This is for 5th position. Halstead continues to press the issue. Up the inside line, lock up on the inside front from Halstead, but he gets himself in the position he needs to be, forces Clues out wide. Morton, only his house got through. It's going to open the door for French to try and squeeze past. The last lap board goes out one more time around the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. Murphy leads the way at the moment. Shepherd in second place. There's a small gap now to third place with Greg Monks. Then it's Chris Moore, followed by Halstead, then Clues, and then French. The top 7 go out of sight. Justin Heat, meanwhile, is back in 8th, but he's now having a bit of a fight with Neil Fraser. He was a bit slow off the corner. So the fight for 8th and 9th going on there. The top 10 completed by Simon Goodwin, and Graham McDonald now on the cusp of the top 10, 11th place. So they come off to the last lap of the race now and up through the old hairpin for the final time. It's still Murphy holding the advantage from Shepherd, but Shepherd had a great run so far. He's been sort of up and down the top 10 quite a lot, the top 7 or 8 positions quite a lot in the early stages, but then picked his way back up through to second place. Remember, Shepherd's only won 1 race this season, that being at Silverstone right at the start of the season in the first race, and that was a photo finish. I think on the exit of the Godwin Head we could get another one, possibly, so you might want to get the cameras ready because it could be quite an exciting end to this race, hopefully. On the exit of Coppice Corner they'll go onto the back straight for the final time, and I think possibly this could be the worst place that James Murphy wants to be in because of course it means he will be the first one to hit the air. Everyone else will get the toe from him, and everyone else is going to be side by side. For looks like Shepherd's on the outside line, but Murphy will have the inside for the corner. They turn in through the S's. What is all going to be? It's a big skirmish. Someone's gone across the ground, I think, in many cases, but it looks like Shepherd's lost 1, 2, 3 spots because Greg Monks is up to second place. Shepherd's down to 4th and 5th and 6th. Shepherd gets back diving up the inside. That's 4 abreast into the Melbourne Loop for the final time. Shepherd gets back into 3rd place. House is up the inside of Moore. Clues is in there too, but he runs wide and French goes alongside him on the exit for 6th place. It is 2 by 2 with 3rd and 5th position behind them. Up towards the hairpin for the final time. It is Murphy who leads the way. He goes defensive into the hairpin against Gregory Monks. Shepherd is still 3rd place. House to back up the inside for 4th place on the run towards the checker flag. It's going to be the run to the start and finish line, and James Murphy will make it a double here at Donington Park. 2nd for Greg Monks, 3rd Matt Shepherd, 4th for Dan House, who takes also the new lap record in the process. 5th place goes to Chris Moore, 6th place to Dan French. It will be crucial because he does finish ahead of Justin Heap. 7th place for Toby Clues, 8th for Neil Fraser. Justin Heap dropped to 9th on the last lap. Simon Goodwin 10th, and then Graham McDonald will finish 11th. Ahead of the 23 of Andy Morgan, and that's the 28 of Paul Fielder, who rounds out the top 13 with then the 88 of James McCall, and then Johnny Jarrett in the 21 should come through. Some more battles going on. One car's spinning up the inside the rear as they come down the straight. Johnny Jarrett, I think, just beat Bevan just beat Isherwood to the line by 24 1/1000 of a second, with Earlham, Treadwin and Smith rounding out the top 20, and the rest of the field goes streaming through. Well, that's the first occasion race of the day, and as ever, it promised a great race, and it delivered a great race, and a brilliant top 3, and I think someone will be very happy with that, because, again, I hate to use a cliche phrase, but James Murphy has waited for a win all season,
Yeah.
and 2 come along at once on a circuit which I'm sure he's delighted to have won at, because I'm sure he appreciates very much. So Grant Monks will be quite happy with another second place, and Matt Shepherd, I think, will probably feel it could have been a win, it could even be second place, but I think to get another podium, you can't be too disappointed with that. But crucially, Dan French finishes off the podium in 6th, but he still finishes 3 spots ahead of Justin Heap, and that's still good for his championship chances. In fact, it could be one of his worst results of the season, which possibly could mean he could even drop that result as a result of that. So I'm going to quickly take a note of our top 3, and as yesterday, I'm going to have a wander down to the podium next to Park Ferme, and then we'll be able to hopefully have a chat to our at least our race winner, if we can have a word with them.
And good to see that the top 7 making their way through the Melbourne Loop, who was separated by just 1.676 seconds at the end of this fantastic 30-minute encounter for the Motul Caterham 7 270R Championship. Definitely well deserved. All I'm going to say is there's more to come. So hats off to every single driver. Scott's making his way down to the podium. So yeah, 2 for 2 for James Murphy here at Donington Park Grand Prix this weekend. So that's the conclusion of the racing action for the Motul Caterham 7 270R Championship in 2019 here at Donington Park, as some are getting rounds of applause and high fives down into the pit lane as everyone makes their way to the paddock. I'm sure that they will definitely enjoy a cold, refreshing drink after that, non-alcoholic, of course, if they're driving. So the main thing is that we have we have James Murphy, Gregory Monks and Matt Shepherd, who started from 4th. Obviously, the biggest issue was for Tom Allen, who had a broken gear shift lever, which unfortunately put the number 17 out of what I think, and probably Scott might agree with me a little bit later, is that could have been a fantastic battle for the top 8. But with the top 7 separated by 1.676 seconds, Daniel Halstead, the lap record that he reset, hit the control out delete, was a 1 minute 48.015, and today's one was a 1 minute 47.853. He's broken it by 0.162 seconds on the last race of the weekend. So recovery has been swift for the number 74 at Ollie Pratt. That's a real shame, because he could have factored in there, so we might have even had a top 9 battle for the victory here at Donington Park. So a big thank you to the Motul Caterham 7 270R Championship for their giving us some fantastic racing yesterday and this morning. And there's a clear up going on at the Fogarty S's, obviously where James de Lusignan went off. But as ever, our marshalling team here, the ladies and gentlemen in orange, that do a fantastic job. We've got our next race coming up very shortly, which will be the second race of Group A for the Mazda MX-5 Championship, coming up very, very shortly. Which will be race 11 of the meeting. Excuse me. So we'll have 32 drivers lining up on the grid as they've come out of the access road. And as Scott was saying, so with Group A, if you're in the top 20, if you're in the bottom 5, you get demoted to Group B. And if you get into the top 5, I think in Group B, you then get promoted automatically to Group A. So joining the grid for this particular race will be Oliver Allwood, Jack Brewer, Matt Luff, Martin Tolley and Marcus Bailey. as they are lining up into formation. All 16 rows, 32 competitors. I haven't spotted any absentees on the grid thus far. So we're just seeing the rescue vehicle pulling away another vehicle. So it looks like Marcus Bailey is going to be the last one to take up grid position here, ahead of what will be the formation lap, as they've just had a short drive from the access road out of the paddock. So on pole position will be the number 41 of Joe Wiggin from Mac Attack Racing. Steve Foden will look to get one on his one win to his tally in the 77. Will be alongside the 41. John Langridge and Will Blackwell Chambers start on row number 2. Adam Bessel and Matt Pollard will complete the 3rd row, with Sebastian Fisher, Jason Greatrex, Dave Turton and Oliver Graham completing the top 10. Charles Mugglestone in the 96 will have the treble 6 of David Waters alongside on row 6. Then it's Jack Moody in the 544 and Jack Rawls in the 177. William Hayden in the 65 and Fraser Fenwick in the 263 round out the top 16 positions on the grid, with the 26 of Charlie Rawls, the number 722 of Alan Hawkins, the number 60 of Nick Ledoyen, and the number 57 of Oliver Jenkins rounding out the top 20. Michael Close in the 117 will start on the inside of row 11. Alongside him will be the number 95 of Ian Blake. Clive Chisnell in the 74 and Callum Greatrex in the 32 will complete the top 12 rows, with the number 25 of Ivan Leary, the number 56 of Thomas Jenkins and the number 45 of Graham Rumsey, who will be joined by Oliver Allwood, who won race 1 for Group B yesterday afternoon, ahead of the number 93 of Jack Brewer, the number 72 of Matt Luff, the number 23 of Martin Tolley and the number 54 of Marcus Bailey. And that will be a 20-minute race, and we are running approximately 4 to 5 minutes ahead of, pretty much on time, I think, but we could be a couple of minutes ahead of schedule, as the leaders being, the front of the grid being led by Joe Wiggin and Steve Fodden, are making their way down towards the Fogarty S's. So bear with us if we do have... without further ado, let's head down to Scott Woodwiss in the pit lane. Scott, over to you.
Yeah, but we are just waiting for our top 3 to make it round to the podium, but there's still quite a bit of conversing. I think they're now starting to release them out from the Parc Fermé area. If we do to start the race 1A, we just do bear with us, because we are trying to quickly at least have a chat with our race winner James Murphy if we can, treading on time. But rounds they all come. I'm just hanging back here so I can make sure that there's no cutting out of the mic, or hopefully not too much. I know that the cars are making their way, I think, on the GP loop around back to the circuit, so hopefully we can get the podium underway pretty quickly. I think we're just about ready to get it underway. And so we should hopefully be able to get the top 3 onto the podium very shortly. So Simon Lambert gives them the call to action. So 3rd place to Matt Shepherd. And Matt jumps up and picks up the 3rd place trophy on the podium. 2nd place goes to Greg Monks. That's another strong podium finish for him this weekend. Jumps up and gets the 2nd step on the podium. A double race victory. A big cheer goes up for James Murphy. Top step of the podium, and he gets the Avon Tyres cap, the British Racing Sports Car Club winner's hat and the trophy. And they'll also get the champagne as well. They'll spray that in a second. Also the top step of the podium for photos. And then the best advice I can give now is that as soon as they're done, run, because it is champagne time. And
And what we'll do is we'll very quickly have a word with James Murphy, just with, of course he was the double winner. So I'll see if I can dive in and hope we'll get a good signal on that. A couple more photos being taken. I can see the race 1A's got underway again, so we'll get to that in a second. But I'll very, very quickly. Oh, James Murphy always chops his champagne. But quick group hug. And if you can hear me quickly dive in. And James, quick word.
Yeah, hi, mate.
I hate to use a cliche phrase, but you wait for one win all season, and then two come along at once. How was that?
There's a reason they're cliched. That feels so good. Yeah, it's been that way this season, right? And needed an absence of bad luck or some good luck. The team has just been brilliant all year, so I'm really pleased for them. Really pleased for Jamie, my mechanic. He deserves this. And yeah, I can't say enough about the rest of the guys today. Typical brilliant 270 Caterham racing, and kept it clean, kept it tight, and such a lot of pressure leading from the front. I'm mentally exhausted, I'll be honest.
Well, go and rest. It's good momentum for Silverstone. Well done. We'll see you there.
Cheers, Scott. One more thing. While it's quiet out there, on behalf of all the drivers, we see you, marshals. We hear you, marshals. There's a reason we wave at the end of it. We can't do this without you. We want to let you know, wet and dry, we really appreciate you being out there. Thanks, boys and girls.
Couldn't agree more. Well done, mate. Back to you, Alex, for race 1A. Sorry, 2A.
Thank you very much, Scott. And it's definitely kicking off in the Mazda MX-5s for race 2 for Group A as they storm their way down into the Melbourne Loop for the very first time. Joe Wiggins got the whole shot in the that brightly black, pink and fluorescent yellow colours that I've come to expect from Mac Attack Racing. And Will Blackwell Chambers now up from 4th into 2nd position as they come through Goddard's for the very first time of asking. And Wiggins got an absolutely huge lead. That's at least 6 car lengths. 3rd is Langridge. Fodden is down in 5th position as the number 4 of Bessel has actually got past. So, already on the back foot is Joe Fodden. He's down in 5th position, having started alongside Joe Wiggin on the front row as they go through Redgate, head towards the Craner Curves. So Wiggins' lead is nigh on a second. 0.939 to be precise. So they go through, it's 2x2 coming on the exit of Redgate. So we've got 17.5 minutes left to go. Wiggins really starting to get away whilst everyone's been battling initially. But Blackwell Chambers, if he's got the right amount of pace under that MX-5, he will start closing the gap as we've got someone definitely going grass tracking off of the exit of the old hairpin. And it's still 2 abreast at points. Leaders coming through. Wiggins' lead has been truncated by Blackwell Chambers. Langridge in 3rd. Bessel, Fodden. Then we've got Jason Greytrex is now up from 8th into 6th as they're going to start heading towards the Fogarty S's. They come out through Coppice. Wiggins' lead definitely has been reduced, but by how much? As they come through the very fast S's after the slight downhill blast from Coppice. And, well, there we go. Will Blackwell Chambers is right on the back bumper of Joe Wiggin heading down into Melbourne. He's bump drafting in fact, as Langridge, not that far behind. Is Blackwell Chambers going to go for the move? Not quite yet. It is completely line astern, very neat and tidy from the top 6. But I tell you what, it seems to be a bit more better purchase for Wigan in the 41 as they go through the entry into Goddard's. No attempts at changes for position, but it looks like Fisher's trying to go up the inside of Graham for 8th. Has he made it stick? Looks to be, yes, he has made the change. So good move there from the number 81 of Sebastian Fisher. Back up into 8th position now as the gap between Wigan and Blackwell Chambers, well, not Blackwell Chambers anymore, as Langridge sends it up the inside of the number 1, going through Redgate, and then side by side a little bit further towards the back part of the field. There's some great duelling and dicing all the way up and down the order. So they go through the Craner Curves, and because Langridge has got past Blackwell Chambers, this is going to allow Adam Bessel in the number 4 to close very, very quickly, as it is side by side, I think just outside of the top 10, heading through the mid part of the Craner Curves. So leaders have now come through the old hairpin. So up through McLean's, and it's a synchronised diagonal formation between 3rd, 4th and 5th. And I think, has Blackwell Chambers dropped down into 5th position? Couldn't really quite make that out from the commentary position thus far, but they're coming down from Coppice, down towards the S's. Wiggins' lead, absolutely humongous right now, but Langridge has put in the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 57.311 as they come through the S's. So let's see how far Wiggin is ahead. That's at least 15 car lengths, as Langridge is being pressurised now by Will Blackwell Chambers for third, heading into Melbourne. Blackwell Chambers trying to go around to the outside, maybe to try and get the switch back. But Langridge very, very wise to that, and he keeps, the number one goes a little bit wide. This is allowing Adam Bessel to get the run on him, and he tries to go one way, then the other. And then you've got the number 33 of Jason Greatrex, who's actually got past Steve Fodden for position, and Fodden's been battling with Pollard. So Wiggins' lead now is, he's just put in 1 minute 57.097. It's gone up to 1.956 seconds. And this is now lap number 4, heading into Redgate. That lead is absolutely humongous. It just depends on how quickly he depends to do that. But in the meantime, the number 63 of Allwood has just put in the fastest lap of the race of 1 minute 56.479 as they're heading down a little bit further down the circuit. So they're going towards the old hairpin, and Langridge looks to have got a couple of car lengths between himself and Blackwell Chambers in the battle for second and third. And Blackwell Chambers is about 5/10 off of the number 5 at the moment, but still plenty of this race still to go. But now it's becoming very quickly a five-way scrap for second and third, which is Langridge and Blackwell Chambers. Then it's Bessel, Jason Greatrex and Steve Foden running out the top 6. They're still battling away. Langridge is still keeping Blackwell Chambers at bay for the moment, but now they've got the run down to the Fogarty S's. Blackwell Chambers in the draft on Langridge for second. So Wiggins very shortly will come through the Fogarty S's. Which he does now. Langridge still has kept Blackwell Chambers, but in the meantime, it looks like Jason Greatrex, he's got past Adam Bessel for fourth place, Steve Foden, and then Pollard in the 55 is closing up on them as well. Some great battling all the way down up the Alderscott, and it's still continuing. We've still got 12 minutes and 23 to go.
The man really to watch is Ollie Ward, because not only does that being at 156 quicker than anyone else on the track, he's also made light work of Oliver Graham, and now he's straight on the back of the 81 of Sebastian Fisher. He's already diving up the inside to pick up another place. He started the lap in 10th place. He's going to finish it in 8th with 2 more places made up. Now his next target is going to be his ALB Motorsport teammate Matt Pollard as they come across the line to end lap 4. Wiggin now has a 1.9 second lead over John Langridge. Will Blackwell Chambers is in 3rd place behind him, so that'll be a couple more points taken away from Blackwell Chambers if it stays as it is, because after yesterday it is now an 8-point gap going into this race between Langridge and Blackwell Chambers at the front of the standings. Through the Craner curves now for the 5th time. Wiggin just sailing his way down towards the old hairpin and just keeping the momentum here. Blackwell Chambers is trying as much as he can to only stick with Langridge, but the pair of them are going to try and catch up with Wiggin as best they can, if they can. Jason Greatrex is running well as the strongest Masters driver up in 4th position. Still knows the tail for 5th between Adam Bessel and Steve Foden. Change on for 7th because Ollie always made up another place, so he's really driving it to the front. He's already up to 7th place. He's in touching distance of possibly a podium, and there's still half of the race yet to go. So Ollie Allwood is the man that's really on fire at the moment. Looking at his lap time comparison, his last lap was at 1 minute 56.8. Everyone else is doing mid to high 157s and low 158s. He is absolutely flying out there. He is fired up after what happened yesterday. We have to go through. He won the Group B race at Acanter. He's charged through from what was, whereabouts was he on the grid when he started the race?
28th.
28th on the grid. He's absolutely flying out there, and it wouldn't surprise me if he gets himself at the very least a possibility of a podium. But he's got to catch up to Wiggin, Langridge and Blackwell Chambers. He's not too far away. His next target now is to try and put himself into the mix now for the battle for 5th position between Adam Bessel and Steve Foden. Looking at his pace, I don't think it'll be too long before he's right on the tail of the pair of them. Possibly could even overhaul them both in quick succession as well.
He's also got back past Matt Pollard in the 55, so that's put him up from into 6th position. Jack Brewer's making steady progress. He's up from 29th up into 19th as the number 93. He's running in the 159.3s, but not on the pace that Allwood is actually running at the minute, so Allwood has got the fire in the belly quite clearly stoked.
Interesting. Langridge puts in a personal best, 157.0, and the last lap for Wigan was a 157.3, so unless Wiggins is trying to just maintain the gap a little bit, he was saying towards the end of the race that his tyres were going off a little bit, but maybe is that the case today already in the second half of the race, trying to pull away, because he did pull the pin pretty early to try and pull away. Car 65, which I think is Will Hayden's got himself, yes it is, Will Hayden's got himself a track limits warning, so black and white flag goes out to him. We're now on lap 6 of this second Group A race of the weekend for the Mazda MX-5 Championship. Top through a little bit spread out now, because the gap was 1.9, it was now 1.6 between the leaders, and Ollie Allwood now trying to throw himself into the mix between Steve Foden and Alan Besley. He's on the tail of Steve Foden now, who took a second place yesterday, was very narrowly missed out on the win, but he was so quick yesterday and led for most of the way in the first Group A race. And now we see, look at this Foden trying to look up the inside of Bezel, trying to snatch 5th position, but if they hold each other up, all it's going to do is bring Allwood into play here. So as they come out through Coppice Corner on lap 6, it could be a chance here that Allwood could not just get 1 but 2 cars, he could possibly get them on the run down towards the chicane. Has he got past? He has got past Adam Bezel, so now the next target to get into 5th place now is going to be Steve Foden. Can he possibly get in before the lap is over?
That's very, very interesting, because there is still plenty of time for that to happen.
Sorry, he's going for it already, up the inside of Steve Foden, and he has gone through. So Riley Allwood is driving it to the front. He's up to 5th position now. His next target is to catch up to Jason Graycoat, and then from there, all that's left is the 3 podium places. So he really is going for it, and he still has 8.5 minutes still to go.
And I've just seen Oliver Graham have a great slingshot past Sebastian Fisher for position on the approach out of the S's heading down into Melbourne. So he's having a good run as Graham.
In any case, it wouldn't surprise him, depending on where Allwood finishes. It wouldn't surprise if he gets himself into contention for the victory in the last Group A race later on this afternoon, because the pace he's setting is much quicker than anyone else. I can tell you that now.
He's definitely more than driving the wheels. He's driving the wheels and tyres off of that Mazda right now, and he's definitely chasing everyone down. Jason Greatrex was about 0.3 of a second quicker, but obviously Allwood was battling with Steve Foden and Pollard in the 55, so that would have compromised him slightly, but now he's got a chance. Just having a look at the gap between them, he's got 1.8 seconds to make up to Jason Greatrex.
But he has got some clear air.
Exactly, so now he will have that, he won't have any dirty air to contend with, the engine's going to breathe easier, and he's going to be able to push the pace that little bit more.
Joe Wiggin now contending for his 7th victory in 8 races. He did say yesterday he's in no contention for the championship. I think he might have to change his thought process on that one if he keeps on dying like this, because literally he has genuinely been the man in form. Whether this is a precursor of what could happen next season if he decides to do a 40, which I'm sure, I think at this rate, I think he'd be foolish not to. But you know, the fact he was saying yesterday that he's not thinking about the championship, he doesn't consider himself to be in contention in any shape or form. But at the same time, you know, he is sort of. I don't know where the phone is. So. Just I want to bring the update to standing up in a second as we make our way down towards the Melbourne Loop once again.
Because coming into this race weekend, Joe Wiggin was, before yesterday's race, he was 56 points behind John Langridge. And so it's going to be very interesting. And he was 52 points behind Will Blackwell Chambers. So this has changed the dynamic with regards to obviously taking the win yesterday, but then getting the win.
As I say, the gap now, John Langridge on 1,560 points coming into the weekend. Will Blackwell Chambers on 1,552. Joe Wiggin now drops towards 1,506. We get to close the gap a little bit more, but of course, he's been chipping away by a couple of points each time. And again, that's all that Langridge needs to try and get himself into the lead of the race over the last couple of meetings at Snetterton and Lord's Park. So he's doing a bit of ECAS to try and put himself forward. So Ollie Allwood has not even been passed by Steve Foden, trying to get he repassed him on the run down towards Reading Corner. He also got squeezed onto the grass, and he's lost out now back down to 5th, 6th position. There's a big gang of the cars headed by Jack Rules battling away. I think we've got Oliver Graham in there as well.
Jack Brewer's at the back end of that train.
Yeah, he's going around the outside of Charlie Buggleston. I think Matt Luff's in there as well. He's also faulted a bit on the exit. He's lost 1-2 spots as a result of that. So it's a good spot to go here. Will Hayden's in there somewhere as well as they come out through the first few corners. But Joe Wiggin already making his way through Schwanz Curve into McLean's on lap 8. And Allwood still has the fastest lap of the race. He'll get the extra 2 points for the fastest lap, because you get 2 points for the fastest lap in any race in the Mazda MX-5, whether it's Group A or Group B. Fastest lap is the fastest lap, you get the extra bonus points for that. So Wiggins' gap actually went up last time by to 2.2 seconds, so he pulled out another roughly 4.5 tenths on that last lap. Blackwell Chambers remaining in third place, doing everything he can. You were saying yesterday, he just doesn't seem to have the same sort of get up and go in that car, particularly in a straight line that Langridge seems to have, even though they're not exactly down on power. So it just seems as though that Langridge is lapping a bit more consistently. Either way, Langridge is doing everything he needs to just to bank as many points as he can, and crucially, just keep on finishing ahead of Blackwell Chambers to keep on extending his lead.
Definitely the case. I mean, when you're in that kind of position, if you know that you're not going to be going for the outright victory, you've got to do some sort of damage limitation, and that is what both Langridge and Blackwell Chambers are doing. You know, they're running in second and third. They're keeping their lap times consistent. They're not letting the tyres drop off. They're not pushing like crazy to make those mistakes where you miss a braking point, you miss an apex point, you're going to be compromised. Jack Brewer's trying to fight his way through. That was very close indeed. I think it was alongside the...
Matt Love, because a bit of fisticuffs there. Matt Love has lost a few spots as a result, so lost a bit of momentum. But Jack Brewer gave a bit of a sort of a cheeky little shove on the exit of the corner, saying, "Come on, get out of the way." So he's elbowed him out of position and got back through. Now, Ollie Allwood is he wants to try and catch Jason Greatrex, but at the same time, Steve Foden won't leave him alone because he's still battling with him down the pit straight into Redgate corner. But as they come down the Cranium curves, they're still together, battling over fifth and sixth, what is now currently fifth and sixth positions.
Yeah, and slightly quicker lap from Allwood that time around 1 minute 57.475, with Steve Foden doing 1:58.005. So yeah, if they would stop fighting in the playground and get after the people in front, they'd have more of a chance, especially Allwood in the 63. But that is as you said, just watch for him in this race, and he's definitely provided more than his fair share of punches.
Well, lap time wise, he actually gained a couple of tenths on Jason Greatrex's last lap, because the last lap for Greatrex was a 1:57.8 compared to Allwood, even though he was battling 1:57.5, and even then he was still quicker by Foden by about 4.5 tenths. So again, and looking at lap time wise compared to everyone else, he is still the fastest man on track at the moment, arguably by at least a couple of tenths, at least even Joe Wiggins. So Allwood's got the ultimate pace, and I think by the fact he'll start the last race from higher up in the group than he was today, I think he's definitely be a contender for victory later on this afternoon for the final Group A race. Leaders are Isabel with Luke now for what is lap 9. That's a bit late go. Wiggins still leading. Gap looks to have come down a little bit between, only a little bit though, between Wiggins and James, maybe a tenth or two. Long Blackwell Chambers has kept the gap pretty consistent, but Jason Greatrex is now starting to get in trouble. He's seriously thinking, there's Oliver Allwood right behind him. So I think there's going to be a change imminent here with about 2 minutes 20 to go. We're going to get 2 more laps. Going to go across the line with 2:20 to go, so 2 more times around the Donington Grand Prix circuit. And Allwood might even get 4th position by the time they get to Redgate corner. Squeezes his way out the inside line, creates a gap on the run down towards Redgate corner, and up onto the right hand side, under brakes, up the inside, and Allwood just like that, he's up in the 4th place. Now, with 2 laps to go, can he catch Will Blackwell Chambers? His last lap, what was it? 1:57.2, it was a 58.0 for Blackwell Chambers. He is lapping quicker, and the gap between him at the moment appears to be roughly around, what is it now? Roughly about 2.5 seconds or so.
Something like
so
that.
he needs to find at least 2.5 seconds, not 3 seconds in 2 laps. That's a tall order, but again, with the clear air, it's not impossible, but it may be possible potentially if you can start to chase after him in these last couple of laps. Now he's got that clear air, and he's got to try and at least, he's trying to defend from, once again, from Greatrex and Foden, who haven't left him alone after that move. He's got to try and make sure he doesn't fight too much against them, otherwise that chance for podium may well go begging.
As Greatrex is actually closing on the back bumper of Allwood, heading into Coppice as they get the... So this is going to allow both Greatrex and Foden to get the run on Allwood. So Allwood, I don't think really has an opportunity. He's now got to defend that position. He's now got to think, well, I could go for it, but I've got 2 guys behind me that want to spoil the party. I want to get some really good points. I want to start in the top 2 rows, giving me the perfect chance for victory. And it looks like Steve Foden's got the run on Greatrex, and he's going towards the outside line of the Melbourne Loop. So Greatrex will run him a little bit wide there, but Steve Foden slots neatly back into position behind. As I think they're getting ready, Scott. We've got 27 seconds on the clock, so Joe Wiggin gets the last lap ball.
Yeah, and
we've got one off for the gravel.
And that looks like a Mike Comber racing car off gravel. It might be Charlie Muggerson, sadly, because it looks like he's off the road.
As Steve Foden just slingshots past Jason Greatrex around the outside towards Redgate. The pair are side by side heading into turn 1, but at the moment Greatrex keeps the position. Foden trying to get the cut back through Redgate, has to slot in behind. Down the crane as they go. Still a big gap for Joe Wiggin ahead of Langridge in the number 5 by just under 2.4 seconds. Blackboard Chambers holding station in 3rd place. Allwood, Greatrex and Foden. I don't think the battle between Greatrex and Foden is over quite yet, because we've got quite a few corners and it could end up being towards the latter part of the lap itself, going through McLean's Coppice, through the Foggy S's and then into Melbourne.
So up through McLean's, they go towards Coppice for the final time. The top here looks fairly spread out. Allwood looks safe enough in 4th place by the looks of it, so no problems there it seems. And we run up towards the right-hander at Coppice at the top of the circuit, and then from there it'll just be 4 more corners to go. And then this run of form that Joe Wiggins had in the second half of the season, he has simply just come alive in the second half. Of course, took all 3 wins at Snetterton, took 2. He could have been potentially 3 at Alton Park, but it's Ben Short that sort of lost his copybook a little bit for the second half of the season. But so far, he has been the man in form by far, and it's no wonder he was the star of the Compact Cup. He was also part of the winning team at the C1 24 Hours earlier on in the season with the likes of Declan McDonald, Sam Walker Council. The Motortech Racing Team, of course, running with Tucker Motorsport at BC Prix. Of course, he burst onto the scene by picking up 2/3 and a 4th place at the first round at the Brands Hatch. Had a bit of a tricky run at the next couple of rounds, but the second half of the season so far has been completely owned by this man. Out of the final corner, it is going to be 7 wins out of 8 races for Joe Wiggin. There's the salute, and that is another maximum score of 100 points for him. John Langer gets 2nd, Will Blackwood Chambers a crucial 3rd. Ollie Allwood from towards the back of the grid to 4th place. What a drive! And you have to say, with a pace like that, if I was a betting man, I'd put money on him for the winning race number 3. I think Joe Wiggin and co should be a bit worried about that pace, being that quick as he was, particularly the fastest lap of the race with a 56.4. And that was even 6/10 quicker than even what Wiggin and Langridge managed. It's behind them. It's 5th place for Jason Greatrex, who was his top Masters driver. 6th for Steve Foden. 7th place for Matt Pollard. 8th for Oliver Graham. 9th for Adam Bezel. And it's Sebastian Fisher who rounds out the top 10. As for those who will go down to Group B, looks as though the last few cars, a bit of position swapping in the last couple of corners, and looks as though that it's going to be Nick Ledoyen, and I think Ollie Jenkins will be safe, which they will. Oh, okay, a bit more position changes there. It looks to me as if there'd been a couple more changes in that mix. And I think the 5 drivers that are going to go down, by the looks of it, are going to be Mike Close, who ran well yesterday in the first set race, but he's just off. He just missed out on staying in Group A by 0.370 in the second. That's a shame, but he should start towards the front of the Group B race for later on this afternoon. Also, Ivan Leary goes back down to Group B, as does Thomas Jenkins, Graham Rumsey, and also Charles Munkerson, who could be someone who may be in contention to take the overall victory, given how quick he is, and he's been high up in the order so far. But again, another superb race, another very handy top 3. The top 3 in the championship, not necessarily in the same order, but all on the podium together. And again, and I've said it a couple of times already, but the fact that Joe Wiggins not really thinking too much about the championship, he's in that position where if something happens to one of these two, or if something happens between them, he's in the prime position. He's not that far away, so I know it's not on his mind, but for him, this is probably me more like a glorified sort of practice for next season. But if this is his form he's going to carry into next year, I think the likes of Larry for Blackwood Chambers, they should be very worried, because this is really, really good, consistent form, and I haven't seen someone, to be honest, since Tom Roach win like this in MX5, winning at such a rate, so consistently. Blackwood Chambers has been pretty good as well in the past couple of seasons. He's been champion as well. But this is another driver who, you get with the wheel behind one of these cars, he's adapted very quickly. He's been familiar with rear-wheel drive all most of his career, particularly the Compact Cup when he was a force, and he heads into pit lane as the winner. So I think I'm going to quickly head down and have a chat to him. What I'm sure is going to be a 3 very happy Mazda drivers for various reasons.
Definitely, so I couldn't agree with you more there. So that concludes race 11 of the meeting. So again, we'll have the Mazda MX-5. Well, we'll have race 2 for Group B to bring us into the lunch break very, very shortly. So Scott's winging his way down to the pit lane. So I think I definitely echo Scott's sentiments. Reference Joe Wiggin. That's a very, very impressive 7 out of 8 for the Mac Attack Racing driver. Very impressive, very capable. And I tell you what, if he's not thinking about the championship now, what if they go into the final round and he is clearly in the mix? That's going to be a different proposition altogether. So we'll wait to hear from Joe Wiggin and Mr. Langridge and Mr. Blackwell Chambers as the rest of the drivers make their way into Parc Fermé. And so we'll have the third and final race for Group A at around about 4 this afternoon. My apologies. That will be race 9. That will be race 18 of the meeting, because with the MX5 Championship we'll have the final races for Group A and B in one straight after the other. So after we have the podium tour, well, the top 3 from the third of 6 races for the 2019 British Racing and Sports Car Club Mazda MX5 Championship, we'll then have the last of the Avon Tyres Caterham Road Sport Championship, which is the penultimate race before the lunch break here at Donington. And then to take us to the lunch break will be the 4th race of the BRSCC Mazda MX5 Championship for 2019, which will be for Group B. That'll be their second. As the grid, which has been further amended, I might add, following what happened, a very dramatic way in which we had our first, well, we had a couple of red flags, one of which was in the 6th race of the meeting, which was the first one of the Avon Tyres Caterham Road Sport Championship, as they are making their way on to the grid, having just come out of the access road. And let's head it down to Scott in the pit lane.
Yes, thanks, Alex. We've got the top 3 getting their trophies now. So, of course, the victory goes to Joe Wiggin, second place to John Langridge, and third place to Will Blackwell Chambers at the top 3 of the championship. Not in championship order, but once again, 7 wins out of the last 8 races for Joe Wiggin. That's a good stat I'm sure he'll take away this weekend. He wants to make it 8 out of 9 if he can. He's got one more race to go from pole position. So let's have a quick word with them. Joe, bring you forward. I'm running out of superlatives, really, for the second half of the season. As you said, 7 wins out of the last 8 races. You've got this MX5 on lockdown. You really have.
I wouldn't say that. We're just doing something right at the moment when that's crossing the line first. So, again, thanks to Tucker Motorsport. You know, we still haven't got the fastest car, but, you know, the handling feels brilliant. So, thanks to them. I just want to say thank you to my missus and my little girl who's come up here today, and my family here to support, and, you know, hopefully give them something to talk about, yeah. But, you know, we're doing all right, I suppose, and, you know, we've got one more race. You know, the win will be absolutely amazing, but, you know, I'm just happy with podiums, really. So, you know, thanks to everyone that, you know, has helped, and here's to another one, really.
Go for the hat-trick.
Yeah, thank you.
Good stuff. Second place for John Langridge. John, again, another handy second place, another good podium, and another good result for the championship.
Yeah, very nice. Will and I had a bit of a tussle at the start, and luckily I just came out on top of that one, and by the time I sort of settled, young Joe had a nice healthy lead, so I was sort of pegging him but couldn't really catch up, which is so hard on that when you're on the same pace. So no, the blink car was amazing. Fresh cold here, Cambridge FD here as well to watch, so happy to perform for them.
Front row again for the last race. What can you do from there?
Yeah, I'd like to get another podium. I think it's going to be pretty spicy because young Mr. Allwood was coming through very strong from the back, so he could be a feature.
Got the fast lap of the race, about 6:10, so he was blitzing through the field.
Yeah, he's rapid, isn't he?
Well, best of luck for race 3. Well done. And Will, third place. I know ultimately it's not where you want to be, but a podium's to the podium, and it still keeps you relatively in the hunt for the championship. So I know it's not exactly where you want to be, but you can't be too disappointed.
We haven't quite got the pace. The car's handling amazing, but I just seem to be lacking either in me or engine. I'm not quite sure which at the moment. But no, we're happy to get back on the podium. Great job by MCR and sort of getting us up here. So no, really happy with that, but we'll see what we can do in the next one.
We'll get in race 3, don't worry.
Cheers.
Good stuff, mate. Well done to the top 3, and back to more Caterhams. This time I think we are on to Caterham Road Sports, if I'm correct, Alex.
That we are indeed, Scott, and a very, very surprising development. We've actually had 5 cars not classified. There are 3 non-starters, and they are at the back end of the grid. Stuart Bell, Tom Power and Angelos Alvanos are not taking part, so we are down from 32 cars to 29. And we found that Lars Alexander Hoffmann, who Scott spoke to yesterday, has not been declared as the race winner because the guy on pole position, the number 5 of Ben Lopez Appleton, will have Ben Buckley in the 42 alongside on the front row. Lars Alexander Hoffmann will start from the back of the grid in 32nd position, so expect the gentleman from Neuwied, based just off of the Rhine, will be charging his way through the field. Harry Cook and Andrew Murgatroyd round out row number 2 in the numbers 9 and 84. Then it's Andy Lees and Will Rossetti in numbers 2 and 29. Tom Brown and Maxwell Lynn in the numbers 37 and 16 round out row 4, with Gideon Wilkinson in the 99 and Trevor Conway in the number 4, rounding out the top 10. Dan Clayford in the 73, Ryan Errol in the 33, they round out row 6, Rick Hewland in the 11 and Nicholas Smith in the 53 round out row 7, with Max Gaunt in the 3, Andreas Carlton in the 21, Jonathan Barnett in the 94, Charlie Marzon in the 69, Giuseppe Fillet and Alan Thickett in the 64 and the 32 round out the top 20. Head of Craig Atkins in the 81, James Crocker in the 6, David Thornton in the 13, Simon White in the 57 with Andrew Sargent in the 44, Richard Hill in the 66, Gary Lapidus starting from 27th and would have had Stuart Bell in the 19 alongside. Alan Venters in the 74 will be alone on row 15 and would have had Tom Power in the 95 with Lars Alexander Hoffmann on row 16 on the 32nd position. So 32 cars instead of 29 there taking the start. So we're just waiting for the green flag to wave at the back part of the grid. So we'll just keep an eye on that. And so the sun starts to reshine down on the track here, so the temperature on the surface will increase and hopefully will help the tyres to get that little bit more grip, but they will have to watch out for the tyres degradation over the course of the next 20 minutes of this second and final race of the weekend. But yes, some very interesting developments, Scott, with regards to the results yesterday, where we had that Lars Alexander Hoffmann, as I said earlier, that you spoke to, and was excluded post-race.
Yeah, I think that's a result of what caused the red flag, which was Stuart Bell and Lars Alexander Hoffmann were battling away for the lead, and they both went side by side into Redgate Corner. It looks I saw some of the pictures from John Elsey, who was photographing at Redgate Corner for that particular race, and it looks as though that the pages came together on the apex. Maybe it looks as though the stewards possibly ruled in favour of Stuart Bell by the fact that whatever the amount of contact was, it looks as though that it's what put Stuart Bell around. Then he was collected not once but twice. I think first in the side, and then secondly the front nose cone got a bit of a whack as well. And ultimately, it saw 5 cars retiring from that race, which has caused the stoppage of yesterday's first race with about 4 minutes to go. But obviously, they've looked at all the footage and they've deemed that the stewards have deemed Lars Hoffmann was the guilty party in that. So, based on what they've decided, it is the case that they will. They've put him at the back of the field. Crucially, though, it means that the champion leader coming into this weekend, Stuart Bell, has to use this as a drop score because he will not be taking part in this second race. Because the car was, I saw the car afterwards, it was pretty damaged afterwards, so it looks like they're going to have to repair that car for the next round at Silverstone in a few weeks' time. But nonetheless, it's going to be quite interesting. Now, this could be an advantage, possibly. Actually, we haven't got Angelo Salvanas either, so the top 2 of the championship at the moment aren't here. This could be a possible opportunity for Lars Alexander Hoffmann. Well, also because Lars Alexander Hoffmann was also disqualified from that race as well. So the result that benefited the most, even though he finished back in 6th, was Will Rossetti, because of course he came into the weekend 4th in points. Also, Andrew Murgatroyd benefited from that because he was 5th in points but finished in 4th. Alan Venters is also up in the top 10 in those points, as is Tom Power. So actually took out, or it's basically sort of caused problems for 5 of the top 10 runners in the championship. And with Stuart Bell and Angelos Alvanos not starting this race, neither is Tom Power. 3 of them will have to use these, if they're able to, as drop scores going forward for the rest of the season, with just 2 meetings after this weekend left to go at Silverstone and then the finale at Brands Hatch at the end of September.
I think Giuseppe Fillet's got a bit of work to do from 19th on the grid. He didn't have a really good day yesterday, to be honest with you, because we had double wave yellows where we had the live snatch, didn't we, down at the old hairpin, and Giuseppe Fillet was actually deemed to have overtaken under yellows and was excluded from qualifying, so he's been on the back foot. He had a poor start in the race yesterday, so we'll see how Giuseppe gets on, because he's got the pace. just how far up from 19th he can get in this race right now, because that could help him moving up the table, even though he is, 9 points behind Andrew Murgatroyd in the standings before yesterday's race.
Couples make their way around on the Grand Prix loop with Ben Lopez-Atherton in the blue and white number 5 leading the way. It's Ben Buckley in the white, red, blue number 42 that brings them around. We've got this race and then one more Mazda race before we get towards the lunch break, which is where we'll also see the grid walk for the Avon second race for the Avon Tyres Caterham 7 420R Championship. And I'll do my best to head down and have a chat to a couple of the drivers in the field. I might have a chat to our two sort of, if you want to call them guest drivers in the field, or possibly Graham McDonald, of course, who is Caterham CEO, but regularly races his regular car for 270R Championship, which he did earlier on, but of course he's doing double duty this weekend while taking over the car which Sir Chris Hoy has already driven for several rounds, not only last year but this year as well. So he's taken car number 7, which is like a factory prepared car. Of course, it's in the Caterham colours. It's also got the 7 to match the Caterham 7, and he's at the wheel of that car. Did okay yesterday, but for his first run. The other one's going to try and do what he can to move the order after. I think he possibly had some kind of a hole in the engine yesterday. Was James Blake Baldwin, who started 15th, got as high as 9th yesterday in the 420Rs, and then not only did he get a penalty for track limits, but also he had to come to the pits with a problem. And I did see from a picture on social media there was a very big hole in the engine, which he had to try and fix. Anyway, that's 420Rs. This is Road Sports. The 5-second board goes up, and it is Ben Lopez-Atherton and Ben Buckley on the front row of the grid. Lars Lopen and Hoffman starting from the back. Let's see who goes where. As the lights go out, and we are racing a cracking start for the second row of the grid for Andrew Murgatroyd. Great getaway from fourth on the grid. He charges alongside Buckley and Lopez-Atherton, will sprint towards Redgate Corner, and I think he will lead under brakes into the right-hander. Yes, he does. So the blue in the car tries to hold the lead, but actually it will be Ben Lopez-Atherton who holds on. Everyone appears to be getting through safe and sound. A couple of cars running wide, possibly almost towards the gravel, but everyone has got through safely up towards the Crackney Curve for the first time, and it will be, looks like Ben Lopez-Atherton leading the way. It's almost 3 abreast for 4th and 5th place into the second part, and into the old hairpin for the first time.
Someone getting a bit tail happy going through the first part of the Craners on the outside of it. So that was very, very close indeed.
Possible change over the lead again. Ben Lopez-Atherton another threat. I think that's from Ben Buckley as they come out. It's 3 abreast on the run towards Clutch Corner. Goodness me. And Murgatroyd's on the inside. There's a change for second and for the lead. And Murgatroyd does indeed take the lead. Looks, I think that's possibly Ben Buckley going around the outside for second place. And so Poleman Lopez-Atherton looks down to third. It could even be Harry Cook actually, because Harry Cook was 4th on the grid. His is the red and white gold leaf inspired livery car number 9. On the run down towards the start of the Grand Prix section, with the Fogsy S's turning left and then right down the back straight, which is a prime chance to get slipstream, which is at its strongest in these cases with their kind of blunt sort of stubby front end. It's 3 abreast again, a big lock up for somebody on the inside into the entrance of the Fogsy S's. Coming out on top is going to be Murgatroyd.
He must have been the one that had the lock up, because he did that, he sent that through. But then to have that lock up and still keep it poised on the exit was pretty good control there.
So Lopez-Atherton down to second place, with Murgatroyd leads out to the hairpin. Third place now for Ben Buckley. 4th for Andy Lees now, number 2, followed by Harry Cook in the gold leaf coloured car. Rossetti in the golf coloured car, another golf coloured car with the fluorescent orange roll bars, is currently sat in 5th or 6th position. And Harry Cook tries to go around the outside of Andy Lees. He gets shown the edge of the track and then puts 2 wheels onto the grass as a result of that. And Andy says, have a look at this, just elbows him out wide on the exit. 6th for Rossetti, now might make that 5th on the inside of Cook as a result of loss of momentum. Into Redgate they go, but Rossetti hangs back and lets Cook take the outside line into turn 1. And then followed by them, it will be Maxwell Lynn, followed by Trevor Conway, 37 of Brown. As for Lars Hoffman, he's from the back of the grid already up to 14th place, so a cracking opening lap for Lars, picking off about half the field by the time he gets to the end of lap 1.
And he's only 5 seconds off the leader at the moment, so Murgatroyd has got a gap of 9 on 2.5 tenths of a second ahead of Lopez-Atherton in the fight for the lead at the moment, as they've come out of the old hairpin on the approach now through into McLean's, and that's a very big dice. 9 on 3 wide for 3rd position there. As they go through McLean's, up the hill they go up towards Coppice. Still there, and it's line astern between 3rd, 4th, 5th, and maybe even 6th now, with even possibly Rossetti getting in the mix now, and this could really help him in terms of the championship aspiration, Scott.
Looks like it. So onto the back straight towards the Fogsy S's for the second time. Murgatroyd will try to hold the advantage, but Lopez-Atherton will be tucked underneath the slipstream. But I think he's already alongside and may have already slipped back into the lead by the time they get into the S's. And the answer to that is Yes, he has. So Ben Lopez-Apple's back into the lead. Murgatroyd second place. It's Buckley in third. Leeds fourth. Cook fifth. Rossetti sixth. Seventh place for Maxwell Lynn. One of his better runs so far in seventh place. The rest of the top figures pouring through. That was Alexander Hoffman. I think he's battling over 12th and 13th place with Trevor Conway. And he might try and snatch a move. No, Conway's a couple of cars on the road. He's battling away with the number 37, which is Tom Brown. And then Gideon Wilkinson is in the mix there, I think, with Rick Hewland, Dan Clay, Van der Den, and Lars Hoffman. Where's Lars going to be going around the outside of somebody as we come down the pit straight once again?
That's the number 99 there. That's Wilkinson.
And Gideon Wilkinson, he's managed to make him another place on, so that's now Hoffman up to 12th place. And so almost a change for fifth there between Harry Cook and Will Rossetti, but Cook once again denies Rossetti the chance to peek up the inside of Redgate and just sweeps around the outside to hold on to the position. Now through the craner curves they go again. Lopez Appleton trying to pull away here with second, third and fourth nose to tail. Murgatroyd, Buckley and Leeds all together as they go into the old hairpin once again for the third time. Top four trying to break away from the two cars behind. That's the scrap that continues to go on between Cook and Rossetti. As they go to actually one car running wider next, and there was Maxwell Lynn. But he managed to gather it back up just ahead of the 33 of Ryan Errol from East Grinstead, who runs in 8th position.
And Lopez Appleton, now that he's got some clear air between himself and Murgatroyd, he's actually just put in the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 51.778 last time around. And the top six at the moment, Scott, I mean, it's Murgatroyd 9.5 tenths back from Lopez Appleton, Buckley in third, Leeds in fourth, Cook in fifth, and it's only just over 2 tenths of a second ahead of Will Rossetti, who rounds out the top six. Lynn, Errol, Conway and Brown round out the top 10. I'm just going to try and keep my eyes out for where Lars Alexander Hoffman is in terms of position, because I think he's on the cusp of breaking into the top 10. He's absolutely charging his way. He's right. He's got in front of him Hewland, who's trying to go up the inside. Goes into Melbourne. That's a nice work. That's a nice drive for nice overtake from the German there. Very clean. So now he's up into 11th position, past Hewland. So now he's got the number 37 of Tom Brown from Knutsford up ahead. So see what happens there. There's a big lock-up going into Gollards there.
I think that's Trevor Conway he got past, because Rick Hewland have to race through the coloured cars, and Rick Hewland's the one on the grass and loses place to Gideon Wilkinson, and I think also to Dan Clayman and to the 69 of Mizon as well. Filet will also get past two. So Hoffman makes another spot at the expense of Tom Brown. I think that means he's already cracked the top 10 into 10th place, make that 9th now as he goes up the inside. Lap time wise, in terms of his pace, where is he at the moment on lap time? His last lap was 152.338. The leaders are already on to Murgatroyd was only one apart from Cook actually. Those two are in 151. The rest are all on low to mid 52s. In terms of that record pace, at the moment the fastest lap of the race is 151.778. That's still 1.7 seconds off the fastest time set, the lap record set by Pete Walters a couple of years ago. And yesterday's fastest lap was 151.4. So in terms of ultimate fastest lap pace, that's the case. One car very slow on the exit, almost loses a couple of spots. I think it might have been maybe Ben Buckley, but somebody lost a couple of spots on the exit. It could have even been Andy Leeds, I think. But I think Will Rossetti certainly made up a couple of spots, as did possibly someone behind. I think maybe Andy Leeds was a bit slow on the exit of McLean's and loses 2 spots, I think possibly from 4th down to 6th.
As the leaders are dicing coming through the Fogarty S's, Murgatroyd fractionally ahead. Is he still there? Looks to be the case.
No, it's Ben Lopez after the lead now.
As a great battle as Leeds looks to be trying to get past Buckley, goes towards the outside, trying to make the cut back, the switch back through the Melbourne Loop, but neatly slots in behind, so might get a better run. As the 42 of Buckley getting a good run of Murgatroyd going into the approach onto Gollards, and I think he sent it up the inside as he got past. Yes, he has. Nice work there. So Buckley down into 3rd. Murgatroyd still in 2nd position. Cook 4th. Rossetti up into 5th, and Cook's just done the fastest lap of the race just now, 1 minute 51.461, and that puts the top 4. Make that 5 if you include Lars Alexander Hoffman, who's just done a 1 minute 51.566. So 5 out of the top 9 have gone sub 152s.
Side by side for 3rd place between Buckley and Cook. Are going to slip through past 42 for 3rd place now, so that's a change of position. Up into the old hairpin and back through once again. So Harry Cook's the one on the move now. In that gold leaf coloured car, he's already on the back of 2nd place Andrew Murgatroyd. He's not hanging around here. He's on the fastest lap pace. set the proof. I think he might be going for the leads very certainly because he's going to go side by side on the outside line of Harry Cook. Outside of Andrew Murgatroyd goes Harry Cook. Tries to look for the cutback, but Murgatroyd covers the line off well. So Ben Lopez-Appleton holds on. He's looking for his, it'll be his 4th win of the season because he took 2 victories at Alton Park. And he's looking for his 4th win of the season after he got the victory yesterday.
Saw Buckley just closing up really, really close and breaking up behind Murgatroyd, coming into Coppice. So this is going to be very interesting. It's nigh on 2 wide for 2nd and 3rd, going through into the S's. And it's now the top 4 really starting to break away, with Lopez-Appleton now in 2nd position. So Murgatroyd has jumped past into the lead, but Lopez-Appleton sends it back up the inside, nice and clean through the Melbourne Loop. And Buckley looked to try and go through at the same time, and he's gone side by side with Murgatroyd, but Murgatroyd's going to have the inside run. Buckley switching to the inside as Cook goes to the outside of Murgatroyd into Goddard's. This is a great dice for 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
Ben Lopez-Appleton just sitting there laughing his mirrors watching all this, thinking, keep on scrapping, boys, I'll clear off this and see you later. As the rest of the field goes streaming past, Cook's back down to 4th at the expense of Buckley. 5th place back into 5th place now goes Andy Lees after he had that spin earlier on. He was as high as 4th, but he did lose 2 spots. He was the spinner, or had the problem when he exited McLean, he's back up to racing speeds. As for Hoffman, he's up to 8th place now. He's on a personal best this time by 1:51.494. So he's on fastest lap pace at the moment. And it's now Maxwell Lynn's the next target for him, who sits in 7th place, and it'll be Will Rossetti at the back of that next 2-car group between himself and Andy Lees.
I did see that Murgatroyd went up the inside of Ben Lopez-Appleton actually through Redgate, because Lopez-Appleton, even though he was probably seeing what the guys were doing behind, he actually came out a bit wide and had the right rear wheel hit the dirt coming off the curb.
7th place, up the inside into McLean's goes at Alexander Hoffman. That's 1 more picked off in this race, and he's still got 9.5 minutes to go in this race, so he's got some time to catch them up. And on clear air, he's on fastest lap pace. So we know how quick Lars Hoffman is, and of course he needs to make up as many points as he can after he was disqualified in yesterday's race, because he can't drop that result, because if you get disqualified from a race, that immediately has to count as one of your scores. You cannot drop it. It's only a point at races where you've been properly classified and scored points. So yesterday's 0 score will have to carry with him in the results.
Murgatroyd still leading. Lopez-Appleton being hustled there by Cook, who's trying to go up the inside of the number 5, locks up the big style going into the Melbourne Loop. So Murgatroyd hanging on. Lopez-Appleton still trying to fight back. Has got the inside run as the number 2. That's an absolutely brilliant slingshot there from Lees up the inside of Buckley going into Goddard's for what is 3rd place on the road. As looks like the changes happen again. Ben Lopez-Appleton a lot cleaner through the exit of Goddard's, but Murgatroyd is going for the inside run, heading down into Redgate. It's going to be nip and tuck between the pair. Murgatroyd will not need to have 2 wheels onto the grass, but takes the inside line on Ben Lopez-Appleton. And I tell you what, Lees was trying to go up the inside of the number 5 as well through Redgate. Couldn't make it quite stick, but is he going to do it through the crane of curves?
It was 3 abreast times 2 for 1st and 4th positions. But more impressively, look who's crept onto the back of that top 6. It's Alexander Hoffman. And he's going for 6th already. He's gone on the outside of Will Rossetti up towards the old hairpin. Surely not around the outside line. He set a new fast lap of the race. Now that's more likely towards that record. 1:50.696. He is flying it. I told you he was quick in clear air, and we weren't kidding. He's up now to, not yet, he's still behind Will Rossetti at the moment. It's side by side for the lead and the 3rd place. It's Murgatroyd and Ben Lopez-Appleton. Murgatroyd's more distinctly blue car is into the lead now. Lopez-Appleton back down to 2nd place. The scrap is on between Lees, Cook and Buckley, with Rossetti now with his mirrors full of
double-waved yellows on the
Hoffman.
Double-waved yellows.
But there's nothing up the Fox S's which suggests there's a problem.
Unless it's on the approach, maybe.
Might be. Let me have a quick switch to one of the cameras, see if there's anything which shows what the issue is. There's a marshal walking around looking at something. Whether it's at the hairpin, I'm not sure. Either way, there are some yellow flags down in that area because, of course, it's the connecting section of the circuit which links to the actual circuit of the Grand Prix loop. So
in the meantime, Lars Alexander Hoffman now up into 4th position and charging forward.
He's on back down to 5th in the moment. Then back and start down the outside line. The 2 almost golf-covered cars are going to be side by side next. And Lees trying to squeeze Rossetti out and was successful. But last Hoffman is in the 4th. I think it's not unrealistic to see him possibly winning this race. He come from the back of the grid after disqualification yesterday into a possible podium place. Lopez-Appleton leads the way out of the final corner, followed by Murgatroyd, then Cook, then Lars Hoffman. He's He's in the toe, down towards Redgate Corner. He's getting closer. As Murgatroyd goes to the outside of Lopez Appleton, they're fighting in the 5th place behind them. Hoffman goes down the outside for 3rd place. Can he snake it stick? Oh, that's ridiculous. Round the outside onto Redgate Corner, but he gets squeezed out on the exit. Cook holds on for the time being. They're going to be side by side on the run through the Craner curves, but Hoffman will be on the outside for the first part, for the second part will be on the inside, but crucially, he'll be on the wrong line, at least in our opinion, for the run through the old hairpin. Into the right hander they go, and has he got through? I think he has actually. Round the outside, he's done it. So
he got the inside line on the second part of the Craner curves, so he went round the outside to get the inside line switchback, and the German made it stick.
It looks like he must have slotted himself into 3rd place before, as they started to turn into the old hairpin. I think Cook was wise to that, because he realised if he tried to go wheel to wheel with them, it would have only ended in disaster. Now, Lars Hoffman is now thinking, right, I fancy battling for the lead now. He's on the tail of the top 2, out through Coppice Corner. This really could happen here.
It's nigh on 3 abreast for 2nd position. Make that 4 on the approach to the Fogarty S's. This is getting very dicey. Lars Alexander Hoffman has to watch his P's and Q's on this one, Scott.
Start biting your nails, boys, because this is going to be pretty tricky. He's 3 abreast into the complex. I think, if anything, Lars Hoffman might be 2nd. He's fucked to 4th now, because he's now lost out. And Cook's now in the lead where he's come from. He's 4th. Exiting Coppice is now in the lead, or he was. He's been passed by Lopez Appleton. Murgatroyd goes diving up the inside as well. So he goes from 4th to 1st to 3rd in like 2 corners, which is incredible. Hoffman goes back up the inside on the exit of the complex and gets back past Cook for 3rd place. He's going for 2nd on Murgatroyd. He's going to go for the lead on Lopez Appleton. He's going to go into the hairpin together. Doesn't make the dive, or does he? He's going for it. That's going to squeeze him wide. Someone's lost a bit of bodywork on the exit there. Going out of the hairpin. Still Hoffman's in 2nd place. He's squeezing Murgatroyd towards the edge of the circuit, saying, get out of it, Andrew, I'm on 2nd place. He does succeed, he gets right back into the toe of Lopez Appleton, looks to the outside line. He's done this once to try and get past Harry Cook. He might try and do it again. He's got to be careful of Murgatroyd behind him to get the cut back. He now looks for the cut back on the exit of Lopez Appleton. Now on the sprint towards the Craner curves, he gets his door slammed in his face. He comes up through the top of the hill. Down the hill they come through the Craner curves. They're going to go side by side again. Lopez Appleton just holds on into the lead. Hoffman tries to pull alongside. Murgatroyd and Cook are side by side for 3rd position. Into the old hairpin they all go once again, and Hoffman is now in 2nd place. And surely, look at the battle, there's only 4.5 minutes to go. It's possibly maybe only a matter of time before Hoffman does get the lead. He is going round the outside, possibly for Lopez Appleton. You may have to give him the run.
Brave. That's very brave, and has he got it?
No. Not yet, but he's just sizing up a little bit here. Cook and Murgatroyd now busy battling over 3rd place. The next group behind for 5th backwards, that consists of Buckley, Lees, Rossetti and Maxwell Lynn. They've fallen away a little bit now, so they're having their own private scrap for the bottom of the top 5. Now there's only just under 4 minutes to go.
It's getting to be side by side on the approach to the Fogarty S's.
Just quick note, cars 16 and 81 have been given track limits warnings. That's Maxwell Lynn and the 81 of Atkins, so those two have got to be careful not to stray over the white lines one too many times. Hoffman is now back down to 4th because he tried to get past a couple of people. Also, Ben Buckley tried to get past everyone into the chicane and lost out. He's lost out to Leeds and to Rossetti. Lopez Appleton dives up the inside of the lead into the Melbourne lead and gets back past again. Hoffman tries to go back around the outside to squeeze past for 3rd place, and he tried to get himself alongside Cook on the exit, which he's trying. He's doing it now. On the right, he's got better traction off the corner, back up the inside for 3rd place. Hoffman gets the line and is back into a podium position, but still, Lopez Appleton and Murgatroyd will not capitulate because it's still tight at the top, and Lopez Appleton must be sort of looking around and thinking, how on earth am I staying in front here? 3 minutes to go, there's going to be 2 more laps here. One car's faltering on the run towards Scotland's. It looks as though, is that possibly Rick Hewland, I think? I think it is Rick Hewland in the 11. Or someone was going with it. Yeah, it is the Rick Hewland. So the number 11 car's got a problem.
Trundling very slow into the
He's got front end damage. The nose is a bit crumpled on that car. There's a bit of smoke trailing, so he'll still steam from some of the water from the radiator.
Yeah, the nose is actually slightly upwards there. So Rick Hewland's coming down a bit late.
So lead is then back into the old hairpin once again. This is on lap 10. And they're still going at it. Lopez Appleton, I think, still leads. It might be possibly Harry Cook, I think. No, he's still Lopez Appleton. I think... No, Cook's going for the outside line now. It's Cook and Lopez Appleton side by side into McLean's. Murgatroyd's up the inside to defend 3rd place from Hoffman. But also, look who's coming up behind them. Andy Leeds is not too far with them. And neither is Buckley, neither is Rossetti. So it could now be, once again, a 7 near 8 car battle for the lead. In the last couple of laps, there's about a lap and a half to go. So... out through Coppice and onto the back straight they go once again. This is where the passing might happen on the approach towards it, but they'll have a big salt out on the run towards the S's. It is side by side for the lead again. And for third place, down into the complex they go. I think it's going to be Harry Cook that leads the way. Through the left, through the right, and it is Harry Cook that leads it, but for how much longer? Hopper's up to third, and also a bit of a hold up there. Murgatroyd's under pressure from two of Andy Leeds. Buckley and Rossetti are watching on, just behind the 6th and 7th place. Into the hairpin, Cook holds the inside line. Lopez Apton looks for the cut back on the exit, can't get through. He's the door wide open, and Hopper gets a big tank slapper, somehow holds everyone up in the process. It's 3 abreast of third place. Andy Lee says, thanks boys, I'll take the pair of you if you don't mind, up towards the hairpin at Goddard's. From 5th to 3rd in one move.
Murgatroyd's trying to go up the inside of Hoffman, going into Goddard's.
And it's not
kicking off.
And it's not over yet. Hopper goes back around the outside of Murgatroyd and says, I'll have my 4th place back. He's going for 3rd place on the exit. The last lap board goes out. I don't think we'll have any breath by the time we finish. 1 minute 5 to go in this race.
I'm going to say one German phrase here, Ach meine Güte.
Into red gate corner they go again. Hopper took a look up the inside. No, that was Andy Lee's up for 3rd place trying to get past. But he lost the momentum on the exit. Because the Hopper will try and get him back on the run through the Craner curves if he can. So it's now side by side again. And that is Lopez Appleton ahead of Cook this time by. Hoffman is not in 3rd place yet. He's still behind Andy Lees. Into the old hairpin they go for the final time. It is now 7 for the podium places. They run a little wide on the exit, using all the curb. Looking to go around the outside is Harry Cook. He's going for it. He'll be on the outside for Schwantz, but on the inside for McLean's. Here he goes. And the Gold Leaf-inspired number 9 is into the lead. And up through McLean's corner. Squeezing up the inside for seconds, Andy Lees. It could also be 3rd place if he's not careful for Hoffman, who's in there too. This is going to be the nail biter. It's going to be the big sort out. Off of Coppice, down the back straight, into the Fogarty S's and number 2 hairpins. This is where it could all be decided. This is why we love the Grand Prix circuit, because we get an extra couple of corners where overtaking opportunities are at their most prime. Down towards the chicane for the final time. They are having a big sort out. It's almost 3, near 4 abreast down towards it. Look through your hands, boys. This is going to be very close. They're all trying to get into the chicane for the first in the apex. It is Cookie still leads. It's now Lopez Appleton 2nd. Hoffman's up the 3rd, under attack from Leeds. It's Murgatroyd in 5th position. Buckley and Rossetti are side by side. Hoffman goes up the inside of the pair. There's a big lock up the inside. There's a bit of contact between Cook and Hoffman. Hoffman's got 2nd place, has he? Cook goes back around the outside. Look also at Murgatroyd backing up the inside as well. And also Andy Leeds. It's going to be 5 of them for the lead down towards the final corner. In a typical Caterham finish, Lopez Appleton still leads somehow. Andy Leeds goes up the inside to make it 3, 4 abreast into the hairpin. Goes up the inside, he's made contact with Ben Lopez Appleton. Hopper goes up the inside, does he know it's Harry Cook? They're all going into the mix. 3, 4 cars have gone very, very wide. So Harry Cook wins. Ben Buckley gets 2nd and Murgatroyd gets 3rd. That's when it was 4th.
Look at Giuseppe Filet, he's come right through the order.
And so the 2 cars we put off, Ben Lopez Appleton. Look, Ben Lopez Appleton is absolutely livid. He cannot believe that he was in the lead into the last corner. And I'm not one used to give an opinion on who that was, but I have to say it all started with Andy Lees making him dive up the inside line. Whether or not he had enough right to be there, I'll leave it to the stewards and the clerk of the course. I don't want to try and make myself too unpopular, but that looked as though Andy Lees made the dive, and from there, that's where everything seemed to happen.
Because we had 2 cars locking up at the same time.
We did.
Andy Lees, and it might have been Lars Hoffman, might have been the other.
Maybe.
But I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to sort of cause any furore, as they say.
Yeah. Well, let's just tell the facts as they are in terms of what we've got, which is that Harry Cook picks up, I think if I'm correct, his first ever road sport victory, which is in incredible circumstances. Ben Buckley finishes 2nd, Murgatroyd gets 3rd, Lynn 4th, Rossetti gets 5th, Giuseppe Filet must be thinking, how did they get 6th position? I have no idea. Tom Brown got 7th, then Lars Hopper comes to 8th, Ben Lopez Appleton, who, as we saw across the line, was banging the steering wheel in frustration. He was so upset with that. So he obviously clearly feels there's somebody to blame with that one. Whether it's the driver behind him, Andy Lees, or not, again, we'll leave a speculation to the result of that, to the stewards and the clerk of the course to ultimately decide the face of that one. What we know is that Lopez Appleton led out of the last corner. He was leading into the last corner, but then whatever happened. And then it's 10th place for Andy Lees, 11th place for Alan Venters, Wilkinson 12th, Miz on 13th, then Clay Van Gaunt, Conway Smith, Errol and Atkins rounds out the top 20. I'm going to tentatively go down to the road sport part because there might be, I think, at the very least, plenty of conversations going on about that.
And I'm going to just make one reference here that I think the air might be a little bit blue, to say the very least.
Yeah. It'd be blue with a little bit of red mist, I think, thrown in there as well. For the record, fastest lap of the race was taken by Lars Hoffman at 150.696. So that will give him, for what it's worth, an extra point into his championship standings. So, but I think the championship contender who benefited from that the most, for the record, was Andrew Murgatroyd, because he got 3rd place.
And also Will Rossetti getting a 5th place finish. But it all came down to the last corner at Goddard's, and it just more than just kicked off. There was smoke, there was contact, but obviously Scott's now making his way down. So that's the last time that we'll see the A1 Tyres Caterham Road Sport Championship. So as they all start making their way into the pit lane, Scott's making his way down to the Caterham podium, a bit further down in the paddock. So that is now race 12 of the meeting completed. We'll have one more race to go before the hour lunch break. And this particular race, well, we're probably going to be running on time. So it's just gone 11:52 local time here at the Donington Grand Prix circuit for the 2019 British Racing and Sports Car Club Caterham race weekend here at the Donington Grand Prix circuit. So a big thank you again to the A1 Tyres Caterham Motorsport Championship. Scott and I have been talking in the months into the build-up of me being here at the first circuit commentary for myself in 2 years, and we'll head down to Scott.
He's heading down the pit lane with a flat left rear tyre.
Oh.
And that's running basically on the rim, so looks like whatever happened with him, he got caught up in that and got tagged by somebody as a result of whatever happened at the hairpin, because it was all completely out of our sight. Obviously, we didn't have a camera focused on it, but Lars Alexander-Hoffman somehow got to the line at 7th or 8th place with a tyre that was either in the middle of deflating or completely deflated altogether. So either way, Lars, I think, Cathy's lucky stars, he got to the finish of that race.
I definitely agree with you on that one, Scott. So, but it'll be interesting to hear from our top three very, very shortly, but as they all filter their way down into the paddock for the final time this weekend. So the top 10, it was Cook from Buckley from Murgatroyd, Lynn and Rossetti rounding out the top 5. It was very close all the way through the race, at some points being sort of a couple of seconds between the top 6, maybe even the top 7, as the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship gets ready for its 4th race, 2nd of Group B this weekend. And we'll have, looks like 29 cars on this particular grid. So the top 5 from this race will qualify for the final race for Group A, which will be race 18 of the meeting, due to get underway at 16:05. That's 4:05 p.m. local time here at Donington Park. So whilst we've got a brief opportunity, I'm going to run you through the grid as they're starting to line them up ahead of their formation laps. So Adrian Burge, leading Masters driver in this race, will start on pole position in the number 7 with Oliver Attard in the 51 alongside. Then it's Peter Tyler in the 180 and Michael Nibbs in the 82, rounding out row number 2 itself. Adam Craig and Matt Fletcher in the numbers 29 and 21 complete row number 3 with the 31 of Bryn Griffiths, number 37 of Tim Dorr, the number 10 of Thomas Mallet and the number 27 of Christian Dan rounding out the top 10. Bruce Robinson and Christopher Ginn make it a All-Masters row 6 in the numbers 90 and 20, followed by the 246 of Bill Rawls and the 312 of Masters driver Peter Lancaster on row 7. Richard Bartlett and Toby Owen in the 78 and the 42 round out row 8, ahead of the 264 of William Bream, the 291 of Luke Souch, number 53 of Jonathan Fieldsend, and completing the top 20 will be Mark Bond in the number 11. So, as I say that, Mark Bond just being guided to his grid slot, as is Jonathan Fieldsend, with the grid being completed by James Love in the number 9, Andrew McGregor in the number 17, who's been ushered forward on the grid. Rob Mugglestone in the number 15, Dale Whiteman in the 58, Ashley Heath in the 68, Anthony Pettigrew in the 26, in the 85, on grid position 26, with Andrew Dean in the 38, Neil McGregor in the 16, and Lewis Cannon in the number 8. So again, this will be a 20-minute race, taking us through to the lunch break, which will be in duration for an hour before we get to the business end of the race weekend underway at around about 1:25 this afternoon. And to kick that off will be the second and final race for the Avon Tyres Caterham 7 420R Championship, and then we get into the first of our 2 races of the 2019 Teekay Couplings Production GTI Championship, represented by both the Mark II and the Mark V generations. And then we'll go on to the second of 3 races for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 SuperCup and SuperSeries, which will then be, then we go to the final race of the Santander Caterham 310R Championship on race 17, due to take place at 20:03 this afternoon. And then we'll have the final 2 races for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship for race 3 for Group A, race 3 for Group B. And if you want to find out about the drivers and also some more information on the championship in your programmes, if you haven't picked one up already, they're just £3, a very worthwhile investment whenever you're here at a race meeting, especially with the BRSCC, pages 16 and 17. And then we'll have the last race of the Teekay Couplings Production GTI Championship. So just like the Caterham Academy Championships in both the green and the white groups yesterday, they have got a full day of racing, with qualifying earlier on this morning and then 2 races this afternoon before we close the action here this weekend with the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Super Cup and Super Series final race this afternoon, which will take us to around about 6:05, but hopefully with the meticulous way that the BRSCC looks to get ahead of schedule, we might be finishing a bit earlier than that. So 30 seconds board before the formation lap for the 4th of 6 races for the 2019 BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship gets underway. So I'll have 1 formation lap, and then it'll be a standing start. As with every single category that is racing here this weekend, it has been a standing start, a very different proposition to my journey into continental Europe for karting, where it is normally a dual file side by side rolling start formation, very customary in the sports car circles. But let's head down to Scott at the Caterham podium. Over to you, Scott.
Yeah, we're just waiting here for the drivers to sort themselves out. They've had the call to head round to the podium, but I'll be honest, no one's moving very much. So you try and coax them round to the podium with a second call. So if we can get drivers round to the podium for the presentations, I think there's a bit of conversation going on with Caterham for some drivers that might need to go and see the clerk of the course shortly afterwards. But of course, we have got a top 3. It might not be the top 3 we anticipated at the end of that race, but it is what it is for the result. And I think Harry Cook will be very happy with the result he got in the end, regardless of who did what to who. So now the drivers just making their way around to the rostrum, and I'll have to watch. I have to make sure I try and watch from afar and don't get too many obstacles in my way, otherwise the microphone tends to cut out a little bit, so just making sure that we can observe, at least call out on the microphone when the top 3 head onto the podium, and just waiting for everyone to get into place so we can go ahead and run through our second Avon Tyres Caterham Road Sport podium, which I think we're about to get underway in just a few seconds' time. And so we've got one of our representatives of Caterham up on the podium to hand out the trophies to the top 3. About everyone, so 3rd place goes to Andrew Murgatroyd, so he jumps up to get another podium. One of last year's front runners in the academy takes another step on the rostrum. 2nd place goes to Ben Buckley. Onto the step of the podium goes Ben, and then I suppose rather unexpectedly, but a win goes to Harry Cook. He jumps to the top step and he picks up his bunch of flowers, as well as his Avon Tyres and BRSCC winner's hat and his trophy and his champagne. They'll all head to the top, jump onto the top step together for a group photo. And then, as you'd expect, once the cameras have stopped flashing, it's we know what comes next, and it is time to cool off a little bit with the champagne. Harry Cook a little late to get the bottle open, but he finally does go ahead and spray his fellow drivers. And I might see if I can very quickly, because it is his first win, it's the traditional stuff the champagne down his neck. And I'm going to see if I could possibly try and have a quick word, if I can, if the microphone will still stretch, with Harry. A couple more photos being taken. I think I'll jump in for a second. Harry, quick word. I think it's safe to say not even you expected that at the checkered flag. Just from your perspective, if you can, just what happened on that last corner?
Well, I was going. Oh, you're holding it, sorry. Yeah. Well, I was going last corner, and then Andy came down the inside, a late break, and Lars was on my outside. I couldn't do anything, so I had to hit Lars. Yeah.
I think you came into pit lane with a flat.
Stepping out then, yeah.
But nonetheless, so this is your first Caterham win, full stop, isn't it?
Yeah, first win, podium at Spa. Yeah, so it feels really good to be on top step.
You're on form at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm loving it. Yeah, it's great racing.
Well done. We'll see you at Silverstone for the next one. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Alex, back to you for the start of the second Group B race for the Mazda MX-5s.
Thank you very much, Scott. And the action has got underway, and I tell you what, looks like a great start from Adrian Burge on the front row of the grid to lead the field through Redgate into Craners for the very first time. The start of a 20-minute encounter to take us through to the lunch break. It is 9 on 2, 9 on 3 abreast at the back part of the field as they've gone through the Craner curves. Now they head through the old hairpin. Everyone keeping nice and clean on the asphalt at the moment. No contretemps that I can see. Oh, hang on, there has been, and it's right at the back bed. It sent one spinning off into the barriers just off the exit, and there's another car stricken, so that could bring out, at the very least, double-waved yellows, maybe even a safety car on the very first lap. So course car being scrambled, it looks like. Ashley Heath is one of those cars that actually went spiraling, got spun out and hit the barriers. Ashley's trying to get it going again, and then there is another car on the other side of the track. Yeah, I'm just keeping my eyes on that at the moment as well, Scott. So, looks like safety car board is being readied. I've just seen that out of the commentary position. Yeah, they are coming out of Goddard's, and Adrian Burge has got a comfortable lead over the number 29 of Adam Craig. So they haven't. Yeah, so it looks like it's business as usual, because looks like Ashley Heath's car has been pulled to the other side and actually behind the safety barrier, so that's a very good call. And thank you for the marshals for sorting that out so quickly. But the other car looks to be that's Anthony Pettigrew in the 85 that's off on the other side of the track. So there were 4 cars that basically went to try and go to the same space of tarmac, and it didn't work out for 2 of them. The rear bumper's a bit forlorn on Anthony's car there, so that's a real shame for the 85. So he, along with Ashley Heath, is taking no further participation in this race. But it's far off enough the racing line. Meanwhile, Adrian Burge has got a lead of over 1.1 seconds as we are now on to lap number 2 of this 20-minute race. Trying to pick up where the cars are now, so they're coming through down the hill from Coppice down into the Fogarty S's, and Burge has got a bit of a lead at the moment. And it depends on whether Craig in the 29, who started on 5th on the circuit itself, looks to have closed the gap somewhat, as it's 2 abreast, probably for around about 4th and 5th position. So Burge hasn't got a comfortable lead now, because Craig is charging and closing the gap. And Nibs is now up into 3rd place, and it's 2 abreast between the 31 and the 37 of Griffiths and Daw. That's 2 of the Masters drivers. As someone's a bit brazen going around the outside, and it's 3, maybe make that 4 abreast on the exit of Melbourne. Could have gotten a bit untidy there, maybe at the exit of it, but Adam Craig from 5th on the grid is closing and is right on the back bumper of Adrian Burge. And he's got the toe now. Down the start-finish straight they go. He's going to try and do the old switcheroo towards the outside. He's trying to get out of that dirty air. He's gone side by side. Is he going to keep it round the outside of Redgate? Let's find out. And he's slung shot past and taken the lead from Adrian Burge. Great move from Adam Craig to get his way into the lead. And he started pulling a gap already of about 3 to 4 car lengths as they go down the hill, down towards the Craner curves. That was an absolutely barnstorming move from Adam Craig, but Burge is not going to let him stay out of sight, as there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 car squabble going through the second part of Craners into the old hairpin, and that's still it's now ended up being 5 because the one at the front of that train has decided to scarper a little bit. So they've gone through the old hairpin, now into McLean's, go the leaders. So Adam Craig leads from Adrian Burge. Gap last time, well, Craig did a 1 minute 59.630, the fastest lap out of everybody. So, great job from the number 29. Started on the inside with Matt Fletcher. Fletcher's now up into 4th place. So, leaders have just come through Coppice. They're on the run down to the S's. So, very, very exciting indeed. But that's unfortunately we're now down from 29 to 27 drivers, with both Ashley Heath and Anthony Pettigrew out of the race after that 4-way scrabble that ended up being an incident. As there's more side-by-sides again, 31 alongside 51. That's Griffiths slingshotting past Attard towards the approach onto Melbourne for 7th position. The gap now starting to extend between Craig and Burge now in the run for the lead of this race. 14 minutes and 3 seconds to go. So 27 competitors still circulating. But the lead that Burge did have, Burge has now got a deficit of 1.5 seconds between himself and Craig, who leads. Nibs is up to 3rd, a further 1.6 seconds drift. The 180 of Tyler has got Dorr on the outside. That's the battle for 9th and 10th. And behind them, looks like Robinson and Ginn are battling over 11th and 12th, so that's another 2 by 2. They all start getting neatly into file there, through the exit of Redgate, down into the Craners. And the gap now starting to extend a bit further at the front of the field, so Craig looks to have got the, and he's put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 59.129 on lap number 3. Gap now of 1.5 seconds. So top 10, it's Craig from Burge, Nibs, Fletcher, Dan, Griffiths, Attard, Cannon, Tyler and Dorr, and they're battling over, Tyler's battling away with Cannon, who's about 0.12 of a second ahead, and Dorr's a further 0.4 adrift, but Craig is just extending that gap pretty convincingly, and it could be closer to 2 seconds on the next lap itself. The leaders have come through Coppice. There's the big run down to the S's over to the chicane. They've got to watch the track limits though, especially with the foam barrier as Craig makes his way through. Then Burge. Looks like Nibs might have closed the gap a little bit there, I think, and he has by quite a significant margin as they head down to Melbourne. So it's looking very interesting. There's another slingshot there, Scott. Attard's going up the inside of Dan in the 27. That's Christian Dan from Bagshot. So they're definitely making good use of the run of momentum coming out of the S's, heading down to the Melbourne Loop, aren't they?
You almost got Greg Griffiths as well. He did think about possibly taking 2 for the price of 1, but it wasn't far enough alongside in the braking zone. Like Nibs, who is someone who, since the start of the season, really has made a lot of progress, and he has sort of found himself at the front of Group B races quite often, and he's got quite a capable car underneath him now, with the fact that he now runs the ex-Stuart Simmons car that he run that car with him in sport for a couple of years, so that's quite a well sorted out car in itself. Greg Griffiths, meanwhile, is holding on to 4th place at Matt Fletcher. Good battles further back with John Fieldsen scrapping away with Pete Lancaster, Andrew McGregor and Thomas Mallet in the 10, and that's a battle that's going on from 14th down to 17th place. Because remember, the top 5 from this race will go to the back of the Group A grid for the next race. And that will, at the moment, seems to be Adam Craig, who set another new fastest lap of the race last time on 59.119. Adrian Burge, Michael Nibs, then Bryn Griffiths, and also Matt Fletcher. Although that said, Matt Fletcher is sharing this weekend with Chris Malloy, so whether or not Matt will do the last race remains to be seen, because of course Chris Malloy hasn't raced so far this weekend, and this is Matt Fletcher's second race so far. Tim Dawes also been having a good battle, I think, with mixed likes of Christian Dan, and also I think in there too is Peter Tyler in the 180, and that's a scrap that's going. Also Lewis Cannon's in there too, in number 8, in position number 8 at the moment, ahead of Daw and Tyler as they round off the top. So I think there's also a change a little bit further up the order. I think possibly that might be maybe.
It's to be Burge versus Nibs there for second and third going into the Fogarty S's by my count. So and Burge is still ahead, but Nibs is closing. He's about 3 car lengths behind, heading in the approach into the Melbourne Loop. So I think it's just a case of Nibs has just got to build and strategically see where he's making. He'll know where he's making up time, and then just try and close that gap. He's got a good run on Burge coming out of Melbourne, but it's not going to be enough to try and slingshot past. He's just going to be very consistent, very neat and precise all the way through the laps. It's getting a bit scrappier down a little bit further down the top 10 there, as we've got side by side there, and on the inside of it is the number 20 being passed, and that is Christopher Ginn being passed by Peter Tyler. So a bit of an Intermasters battle there, Scott.
Yeah, Christopher Ginn just trying to hold on as best he can ahead of Peter Tyler, which he has been able to do. And just also Bruce Robertson lost a couple of spots. He tried to go diving up the inside, but the plan was literally parking the car on the apex, trying to get out of any possible contact. And he's dropping back now to as far back as 12th position. So he's got some work to do to try and put himself further up. Meanwhile, at the front, Adam Craig has pulled the gap out to almost 4.5 seconds now on Adrian Burge in second place. Michael Nibs is still tailing him hard by half a second in third place. Lewis Cannon's out to fourth, so he's one of the fastest drivers out in the field. He's certainly going to be one to get back into the top 5 if he can, will be in the top 5 to get himself back into Group A later on. I think it's side by side for second place. Adrian Burge having to defend on the outside line. We've got one car that's parked up, and that is maybe Dale Whiteman. I think it's Dale Whiteman. I think because he's now parked the car at on the escape road, so that won't require yellow flags. Because Andrew Dean goes past one of the NHA Motorsport machines, one of the bright yellow cars which are distinctive with the NHA Motorsport graphics on the rear wings. As the now leaders come back towards the Fogarty S, still with Craig in the lead. I think it is now still the battle for second place. And Nibs is trying to switch to the inside line, try and possibly outbrake the second place man Adrian Burge into the chicane, but he's not close enough to do that. And so they head up through the Fogarty S down towards the start of the GP loop. It is Adrian Burge who still leads the way from in second place from right there. But Michael said it could be under enough pressure to hold on to the momentum and try and stick as close as he can to make this move stick forward into the race.
That's definitely the case, Scott, because Mike Nibs was actually over 3.5 tenths of a second behind Adrian Burge. So Burge is very wise to the fact that Nibs is going to close on him as the race progresses. We've got just 8 minutes to go as Craig comes to complete lap number 6. And whilst these two behind him are battling, he's just able to get away with it. And the gap now is, well, it's actually come slightly down because Craig did a 2-minute 4.29 and then Burge did a 2-minute 0.345. So the gap isn't going to be extended, but I think it's just about Craig just managing and mitigating that gap enough so he can just have a comfortable victory.
So we've still got 7.5 minutes to go in this race. It's a 20-minute race, we've still got 7.5 to go, so we're past the half distance. Some more battles further down the order.
We've had a couple of black and whites being shown for track limits. Peter Tyler and Bill Rawls have been keen for that, so they're going to have to watch that quite significantly because otherwise, as we've seen, we've had the highest penalty so far in a race situation is a 30-second post-race time penalty instead of a drive-through after a race. But they're keeping it quite neat and steady. So the main thing is I'm just keeping an eye on what's happening between Burge and Nibs. And Nibs is actually dropping down slightly. He was actually just under 0.3 of a second slower than Adrian Burge in the number 7 in second position.
Yeah, Adam Craig's now away and gone by the tune of now. They've managed to pull him by a tenth on the last lap of Adrian Burge, but there's no way enough to try and catch him. They need some kind of a problem, touch wood, from Adam Craig to be able to catch him, but it's now this battle for second place that they to continue to focus on. Still with Adrian Burge leading Michael Nibs through the S's. Even Nibs is just biding his time, just trying to apply the pressure back on the 7 cars that put the force victim mistake before the end of the race. Wait and see. Of course, remember this is his first season racing in the X1, but Adrian Burge has been doing it a couple of times. His son Charlie Burge has also been pretty quick. He's had a couple of podiums in his lifetime, but elected not to race this season due to I think it was enough in some cases. 53 of Jonathan Fieldstead has been given a black and white flag for track limits, so he's got to be careful as well. He comes 4th and 5th out of the hairpin. Lewis Cannon ahead of Matthew Fletcher, who's made some decent improvements in his seasons in this weekend so far. So he runs aboard the number 21 car. Ray Griffiths is 6th from Tim Law 7th, then Christian Dan, Peter Tyler, and Nick Doyen. Scrap going on for 11th between Bruce Robinson, Christopher Ginn, and Oliver Attoll. Attoll looking up the inside to make a move on Ginn into Redgate corner, slides up the inside line, and does complete it. So he's up to 11th place, up one spot with Ginn being demoted down to 12th.
Just saw Peter Lancaster being passed there, coming on the exit by Andrew McGregor from Lockerbie in the 17 down the start-finish straights. But I do have to say that Nibs is actually closing on. Now, has he actually got past Burge? It looks to be the case.
No,
he hasn't. But he's closed the gap. It was just over 3.5 tenths of a second on that last lap, Scott. But he's still got 5 minutes. He doesn't need to necessarily go for it now, does he?
But it was this close at that part of the circuit a lap ago. So it seems to do on the first part of the circuit, on the faster sweeping sections, that Nibs has got a little bit more of an advantage, a little bit more confidence than Burge has. But maybe on the straight sections, maybe in the braking zones, maybe Burge is a little bit better. But we'll wait and see as they come back into view once again. Adam Craig once again leading the way comfortably by...
Nibs has made the move. He's up into second, but Burge is trying to close, and he's not even a car length behind as he's trying to go around towards the outside to get the switchback, I think, through the Melbourne Loop.
It looks like that happened at the chicane because there were sort of side by side on the exit, and it's still going to be side by side again because the traction that Burge has off the corner appears to be enough to pull it alongside, and it is side by side on the sprint into the Goddard's Head, and they will be literally door to door as they hit the brakes virtually at exactly the same time. Nibs has the track position. I'm sure Posse might show Burge the edge of the road, which he just about does, as he keeps it on the white stuff just on the curve. But again, Burge's traction off the corner seems to be that little bit better than Nibs, so in a straight line, will pull back alongside. All the efforts at the chicane appear to at the moment be coming from nothing because into turn one they go, Redgate corner, and no, it actually hasn't. What's also interesting is that on the commentary box window, I have spots of rain. So
I was just about to say,
and there has been some rain forecast for today at some point. It said it was only scattered showers and some light rain, but the rain is starting to fall now. The wind's really picked up as well because it's been fairly humid all day today.
Wipers coming down, wipers going on a bit more going through the Melbourne Loop as the rain is starting to show a little bit more intensity, but it's still a very dry track. I don't think the rain will do enough for it to cause any problems thus far, but it depends on how much it intensifies, and it's just like it had been a spittle of shower, so to speak.
Yeah, it needs to rain a little bit harder in these last few minutes for it to be really significant, although it won't stop some drivers who are a little bit more inexperienced that might fall foul of it a little bit if they do take one or two liberties trying to throw the car around in these sort of possible changing conditions. Whether or not it will rain, it'll still be raining enough to affect possibly the conditions for the second 420R race, which is during the grid walk, or just after the lunch and the grid walk, remains to be seen. 2.5 minutes to go in this second Group B race for the Mazda MX-5 Championship, with Adam Craig still leading as he heads out of the Quality S's and on towards the Melbourne Loops. A couple of the umbrellas going up around the circuit as the race starts to continue to fall. Nibs has held on and second place. He did go around the outside to hold on to the position at Redgate corner, and he has held on for the rest of the lap. So it looks as though he's got enough momentum to possibly hold on for the rest of this race, I think. Lewis Cannon back in 4th, and then we've got 5th, 6th, so a bit of change with 5th because not only Cannon pulled away from this group here of 3 cars, but Bryn Griffiths has also displaced Matt Fletcher, and the pair are also coming under attack from the green and gold car of Australian team door number 37, and he won't pick a spot yet. He can help within the next couple of minutes towards the end of the race.
Christopher Ginn's just been pinged with the black and white for track limits as well, so the number 20 is going to watch his P's and Q's going around the circuit. So at least the drivers are being given these warnings, and they are actually adhering, I think, afterwards. And we've seen it multiple times before, but there is a side-by-side battle, and that is Griffiths versus Fletcher going in towards Redgate.
Yeah, Redgate on the outside line with a better run off the corner. It is the last lap, by the way. The last lap order has shown just being hung over the top of the black and white flag for Christopher Ginn. Still side by side, but I think Fletcher has to be content with the outside line, slotting in behind Bryn Griffiths. So on this last lap of the race now, the leader, Adam Craig, has already gone through the old hairpin. Now on the run up the hill through Schwantz curve, and again, even though they had this spots of rain, looks as though that rain is quickly dissipated, so whatever the shower was, although the dark clouds still loom overhead, still Nibs now has gone from hunter to hunted, and he's now being pressured down by Adrian Burge, and there was a lock up from the 7, and and he missed the apex as a result of that, so a bit of a last-minute dive to try and possibly snatch second place back. Didn't quite work for Adrian Burge. He's lost a couple of car lengths as a result of that. That means possibly you could see Michael Nibbs in a comfortable position enough to hold on to the second place in this race.
Yep, so we've got 41 seconds to go, and that lead from Craig is just absolutely huge. 7.978 seconds. Burge is a further 4/10 off of Nibbs. So Nibbs did bide his time quite well there, as Craig comes down towards the Melbourne Loop for the final time. And Nibbs has pretty much, I think, secured it ahead of Burge, who did a great job keeping Craig at bay initially in the first, when we had that instant field first lap. But from there, Craig has just been the one that's just got up ahead, and he's going to come around the final corner very shortly.
And here he is, onto the pit straight, and it will be, I think, a very bit of a silver line to what's been a bit of a tough weekend. But Adam, across the line he goes, and he picks up victory in race 2 of Group B, the Mazda MX-5 Championship. And after a race-long battle with Adrian Burge, it will be Michael Nibbs who brings the... hold on, he was a bit slow towards the... either bit of a mischief or something. He was very slow off the corner and almost lost that second place again to Adrian Burge on the run towards the flag. 4th for Cannon, 5th for Prix Griffiths, just on the line. Matt Fletcher did just hold on ahead of Tim Dorr in that race. So 6th for Fletcher, 7th for Tim Dorr, 8th for Oliver Hattard on his first weekend in the championship, 9th for Christian Dan, 10th for Peter Tyler, 11th for Nick Doyle, 12th for Bruce Robinson, 13th for Christopher Ginn. And the rest of the top 15 should come through shortly. You've seen Dale Whiteman's car just on one of our bigger TCTV cameras, just it was parked up where it was off the circuit. I guess Jonathan Fieldson in 14th, back 15th is won by Tom Mallet, end of the 17 of Andrew McGregor, and the rest of the top 20 should be finished off by, as it is, Peter Lancaster, Mark Bond, and then it's Neil McGregor and Prix, just all four just ahead of Luke Satch, 21st
But
race.
the 246 of Rules has actually picked up a track limit 5-second time penalty post-race, so that'll drop him down. Well, actually, pretty much keeps him in 13th position. So at about a second, 9.2 second advantage over Fieldson. So there we go. That's the conclusion of the racing action for this morning. A big thank you to the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship for providing that for us. I know that Scott's going to be making his way down to the top 3. And if you are at the circuit, please give all our drivers a round of applause and some cheers, because they thoroughly deserve it. It's good to see everyone, having basically going out there and doing their level best, with Mr. Craig being our winner. So that's the number 29 of Adam Craig, based out of Stockton on Tees, and then we've got Mike Nibbs, based out of Worthing in Sussex, and then our pole man, the number 7 of Adrian Burge, based out of Haverhill, not too far away from me either. So it seems like whenever I go into Club Motorsports, I find that there are at least a few people that are within a sort of a 50-mile or 60-mile radius of my locality. A big thank you to all the marshals as well, as they definitely have well and truly deserved their lunch break. A big thank you to the guys and girls in orange, as our top 3 now make their way, being followed by the rest of the field, and I'm sure we're going to have a very, very happy number 29, our race winner, Adam Craig. So momentarily we should hear from Scott in the pit lane, and everyone, all the drivers being given some congratulations of a good race. But Scott is down in the pit lane. Over to you, my friend.
So top 3 have stopped just below me, and Adam Craig complete with Animal mascot from the Muppets along for the ride. Saying it was a good luck charm for him. And of course Michael Nibbs has stopped in 2nd place and Adrian Burge in 3rd. And so Adam Craig just gets to his camera, both front and rear. And might actually been giving him a quick word, I think. Adam, good result, and that was once you got into the lead, pretty much there was no stopping you there, was there?
Yeah, it was a bit of a disaster yesterday, so sort of ended up in the wrong place, and I knew that if I could do something in the first couple of laps, build a couple of seconds lead, then just cruise round, and it all went to plan, thankfully.
Yeah. Animal mascot helped.
Yeah, 2 Muppets, 1 car.
Good stuff. Well, you're back in Group A for the next race later on, so that's a silver lining at least.
Yeah, let's see how many cars we can pass.
Good stuff, well done. 2nd place for Michael Nibbs, let him get out of the car first of all, rather than just trying to doorstep him whilst he's still sat in it. And out he gets. Michael, good to see you back on the podium again, and not a bad weekend so far for a new car.
Yeah, thanks. It's going really well.
An ex-car which I think Stuart Simmons had before, so you both picked that up instead. Are you gelling with it well so far?
Yes, I think he was a little bit quicker in it than
a season, so you're still learning, but you're making good progress.
Yeah.
Good stuff, well done. And Adrian Burgess in third place. Adrian, good fight with this man, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a good scrap, in all fairness. He just managed to get me down the back straight, going into the chicane, but I was right on his tail. Showed my nose a few times on the last lap, but yeah, he held out, so it was good clean racing, it was good.
It was a close one. We had to stand on the anchors up at McLean's, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, I just literally thought, OK, last minute braking, stand on the anchors, but yeah, it was good clean race, really good, so really pleased with the car. Thanks for BC Cars.
You still got a trophy and you're back in Group A, so all good.
Yeah, that was really the main aim of this race. After throwing it away on my own yesterday from P16 in the A race, it was a bit of a case of damage limitation, get back up and go again.
Go to it. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Right, let's get the top three on the podium then, if we can, to give them their trophies. Lindsay's down here to hand them out, so we'll do them in reverse order, I suppose. So let's get Adrian onto the podium in third place to pick up his trophy for third place. So he jumps up and gets his third place. Second place, of course, going to Michael Nibbs. And he picks up another Group B trophy. And, of course, race 2B winner, of course, Adam Craig, who gets his not only his winner's hat, but also his trophy and his little bottle of bubbly as well. And there'll be a couple of pictures for social media. I know that there'll be some TV interviews as well. And then we'll be getting things prepared for the lunch break, which is now in force, but also be getting things ready for the grid walk for the second Caterham 7 420R race. So the cars are going to head off. Drivers are going to head off there to continue their TV interviews. I think we're going to get ready for whenever our grid walk gets on. I'm going to stick down here and wait for the grid walk to get on. Just a quick note, if you want to find yourself something to eat, you can head to the Garage 39 restaurant, where you can find yourself hot and cold food and hot and cold snacks. Also, there is a newsagents down towards the end of the paddock as well, where you can also do the same, pick up even the Sunday papers if you fancy a read in the lunch break. You can head around the paddock, you can have a chat to the teams and drivers, and have a look around Club Motorsport paddock. You get a brilliant amount of access, so you can have see the cars and the teams and the drivers up close. Also, be sure to head around to Park Ferme and have a look at the cars in there as well, and basically get yourselves in position fairly soon, because it looks like we're getting possibly maybe a little bit ahead of time for this first one, but of course we'll jump on the mic once the grid walk for the Avon Tyres Caterham 7 420R second race is set to get underway, and hopefully we'll be able to give you some thoughts, some of the pre-race thoughts, some of the drivers as they line up for what is the Premier Championship in the Caterham Motorsport ladder. So enjoy lunch and get yourselves back in position very shortly for the second half of the day, starting with the 420Rs with a group walk just before them. So enjoy lunch. We'll be back on the mic once the group walk is underway.